Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Deakin Reserve this afternoon for the Tooheys Challenge Cup. Country football at its best here at Shepparton this afternoon under blue skies and plenty of sunshine around for this great game of football where the two country leagues will meet in this Tooheys Challenge. You can hear plenty of music in the background. We've got a band on the ground and there's a great carnival atmosphere here at the moment. Joining me in our commentary position this afternoon to witness this game, which will be shown right throughout the Six Network. It's a very good afternoon to Rod Kilgour and also to Shane Healy. Gentlemen, having a look at the ground, having a look at the facilities, I think we're pretty lucky that we're going to see some high standards of football here this afternoon.
Yes, indeed, Rob. I think we will. We've had a look at both teams in the rooms and they both look pretty fit. Very impressed with the Victorian team as running around there now. It looks a very balanced side. The ground itself at Deakin Reserve, a little bit bereft of grass in areas, but generally, except for the middle, it's very sound. And we had a walk out there before. Obviously, the cricket pitch area is still pretty damp and fairly muddy, but the rest of the ground should provide fine weather. And if I could just mention for those people maybe interested in a Goulburn Valley result, the previous game that was held here this afternoon was won by Lemnos. A little bit of a turn-up. Lemnos defeated Echuca in that game, which was a preview game to this one, and it was, of course, for premiership points. So, all in all, Rob, we're really looking for a great day of football between these two great sides, and I know the Western Australian boys are really proud to be over here representing them, and they come from far and wide, too.
Well, they certainly do. At the luncheon earlier on today, I heard the president of the West Australian Football League make mention that one player actually travelled, I think, about 1,600 miles. I don't know whether it got mixed up with miles or kilometres, Shane Healy, but it's still a hell of a long way to turn around and come to try and get in a country football league team. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, good afternoon, Rob and Rod, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And as you pointed out, a great day here, and the Western Australians initiated this idea of these two country leagues playing one another last year. And in fact, the Vics went over to Perth and played as a curtain raiser to the big one over there, and won by about 5 goals on that occasion. And talking to the Western Australians, to coach Rob Howland and a few of their officials, they're very, very keen that they can reverse that result this year. I think in any game such as this, the winner's always going to be country footy, and we've got some great footballers out there, especially from the Victorian leagues, that we're going to know a lot better. But there's a few names amongst the West Australians that are also going to be known, and I think we're going to see a very, very good game of football. There was a real keenness amongst the Sandgrapers that they might just be able to come back over to this side of the country this year and reverse that result from 1987. They're pretty proud folk over there, and they're very, very keen to do well. Their side's a young one. I went into the rooms, a very, very young side indeed. The coach is only a young fellow who coaches up in the Great Northern League, and he got given the job because his league, in their equivalent of the country championships last year, got home and won that, and he's been given the job this year to take them into this big game. They arrived a couple of days ago. They've prepared pretty well, and they're very, very keen to try and give the Victorians some curry.
All right, well, players are out on the ground at the moment preparing for this big match, and of course, having a look at the West Australian side, there's a bit of height about them, Rod. We'll have a look at the sides very, very shortly as they line up, or as we believe they will line up. Anyhow, let's put it to you that way, very tongue-in-cheek. But the West Australians, there's plenty of height out there, and having a look at the Victorian side, more perhaps an even balanced side.
Yes, I believe so. One player that many people from this area will know, of course, from the Western Australian team is Ditchburn, but we'll have a look in the meantime at the Victorian team, which is now up on your screen. And, well, Rob, an amazing amount of players who have played football with VFL before. In fact, there's about 13 or 14 that have had experience with either VFL first or second.
There's a lot of VFL experience out there, and there's a lot of youth also in that Victorian side. As the day progresses, we'll try and give you a profile on as many players as we possibly can. And having a look there at the Victorian lineup, in the back line is Hartney Dobson and Martin Odgers, formerly St Kilda. Moyle, going to be an impressive sort of a player, this fellow. Moyle's got a bit of age about him. I saw him last week up in the Wimmera League playing there against the Ballarat League, and he dominated up there. Francis Burke, it's not the Francis Burke that we do know, but this is a younger Francis Burke. Rolf Stacey in the centre, Whitcomb on that other wing, of course, ex-Geelong player, Lenihan, Walsh and Hogarth, and Kenny Murray. I'm going to be interested to have a look at Kenny. I see he's named in the forward pocket. Of course, we know him from Ballarat as being a full forward with North Ballarat. He's still kicking goals up here, so he's going to be a highlight in the Victorian side. Johnson and Craven. We'll have a look at the West Australian side, Shane, and you've done a little bit of homework, and perhaps you can go or have a run through that particular lineup. And as you said before, it was interesting to note that the situation with the West Australian team, there are a few names in there that would be familiar to us.
Yes, up on that half-forward line, Bairstow's brother, or this is Bairstow, of course, of the variety who plays in country Western Australia. The boy Bairstow playing with Geelong this year is having a great season. That's one name the viewers will know. Up there at the key forward post is Ditchburn. Now, he's a top footballer, played with Carlton, of course, and is captain of today's side. Coached this side last year. And another name there on the half-back line is Lewis. His brother Chris is playing, of course, with the West Coast Eagles. And they've basically gone, as I said earlier, for youth. There's quite a few of those names we don't know. There are a few that I could pick out for you initially. And there's a boy on the bench, actually, by the name of Come Again. And we thought it was going to be Comegan, but we spoke to the coach, and we're going to have to pronounce him Come Again. So we'll be on the right track, and the West Aussies tell me that is the correct pronunciation.
I know the Western Australians are very proud of their country football, and I believe that 40% of the Eagles actually come from the country area of Western Australia. So they've produced some pretty good footballers.
Having a look at the players lining up down there at the moment, Peter Surridge from Tui's is down there making the presentations to the crowd of the respective players. As I said before, a little earlier on, blue skies. Having a look at the ground, Rod, you know it fairly well. Wind assistance, it looks to me as if it could favour that far flank.
Yes, it probably will. It'll favour probably over on the scoreboard area. But it can be known to switch around here. But the day is so very still and fine, and the weather, the blue skies, I don't think the wind will have much assistance in any way.
Well, I was talking with Stuart Gull a little bit earlier on. I think we'll find that the Victorian Country Football League combination will be utilising this grandstand wing here. And it's going to be interesting to see how the West Australians actually play this ground, because they haven't, I believe, trained on it. They went to the gym yesterday. They didn't train. The Victorian side at least has been here and had a look at it. So in a moment we will be having the national anthem, I dare say, for the start of this game. And you can see the Victorian side there on your screen. The boys pretty keyed up, and we can see Big Four there. Going to be a big challenge for him today. Probably a little bit disappointing last week. But
yes, third along that row, Rod, is Brendan Hartney. Played 40 games with Carlton. Captain coach now of Sandhurst in the Bendigo Football League. Having an interesting chat to one of the administrators earlier, who believes that a captain coach selected for a game such as this deserves the right of refusal when he is a key player, probably on fairly big dollars. If they're selected in a country football league side, a captain coach only has the right of refusal. That was his idea. He felt for Brendan Hartney, say yesterday, whose own team in the Bendigo League had got beaten by 4 points and lost a chance in the finals. Interesting, perhaps, topic to talk about at half-time.
Advance Australia Fair, you can hear in the background. We'll be back with this first quarter. All the action from the Deakin Reserve this afternoon through the Six Network between the Vcfl and the West Australian Football League. Welcome back to the Deakin Reserve. All's in readiness for the Tui's Challenge Cup between the Victorian Country Football League and the West Australian Country Football League. Down on ground level throughout the day, we'll be talking with Don Kilgour, and it's great to have Don as part of our commentary team with all the action from the interchange bench and the coaches. A little bit earlier on today, Shane Healy spoke with the West Australian coach, Rob Howard, and of course, as we said before, there are a few faces that may be of interest and a few names that may be of interest to us here in Victoria.
Well, I think they'd remember Ross Ditchburn from Carlton days.
Right. Captain of the side?
Yeah, captain of the side. We've got Noel Bairstow, a brother of, he's playing for Geelong.
Right.
And you've got Glenn O'Loughlin, who was in the Eagles last year, played 1 or 2 games with the Eagles, I think.
So you've got Lewis there too?
Yeah, Louis is the older brother of the one, Chris, that plays for the Eagles, so, and he'll contribute well today, I'm sure.
Well, obviously you feel confident that you can reverse last year's result?
Yeah, we've come with a good team. No real stars in the team, but we've got a team, and that's how I think we'll go very well today with it.
There seems on paper a lot of players we know very little about, a lot of youth in the side, but there's also that little blend of ex-VFL experience in there as well.
Well, we have. I think we've got a happy blend this year. 6 players that played last year. We've got 14 new players, 16 new players in this year. But we've got a lot of VFL experience there and quality too. Like, it's not just one game. There's, like Murray Whitcomb, for example, has played 130-odd games. You've got Mick Menigan, Terry Love. We've got experience and we've got a bit of freshness there as well, which is pleasing to see.
Well, I don't know about you gentlemen up here, but the smell of the liniment, I'm starting to get a bit nervous myself. I wouldn't mind being out there, but unfortunately age has been the barrier. Shane Healy, you've been a part of country footy for a long time. There's a fair amount of excitement here this afternoon.
There certainly is, and the crowd's built up very well here too, Rob, here at the Deakin Reserve. And the Victorian side is going to be kicking up to the eastern end of the ground, and the West Australian side to the western or city end.
Well, the men in charge of the game, Rod Kilgour.
Yes, the umpires today in charge, and the man with the ball right now is Wayne Byers. As a matter of fact, he works as a technician at Channel 6, but a very experienced Goulburn Valley umpire. He's joined by Rod McEwen from Geelong. The boundary umpires are Mick Ryan and Jock Williams from the Goulburn Valley. Also Bob Harvey and Tom Boyd, the goal umpire.
Well, umpire with the ball in the centre of the ground to start this Tui's Challenge Cup this afternoon.
Well, there's the bounce of the ball now, and it's going to be big forward going up for the Victorian side, but he was well and truly beaten at that ruck knockout. But a couple of big guys around the ground, the West Aussies. Of course, in their famous gold and black jumpers, Victoria get the first kick, a small one from Stacey. He gets the ball up toward the half-forward line now. Players going in hard there. One Victorian was Johnny Walsh, the Latrobe Valley representative, who went in hard. Eventually it feeds out toward Hando from St Arnaud. He goes wide, but the West Aussies win the ball through Cleary, and Cleary's kick is smothered there as Victoria go in very, very hard. Captain Michael Lenigan out there doing some good work. Feeds a hand pass across now toward Castles. And Castles, the Echuca representative in the side, kicks the ball right up into that deep forward line area. A chance now for a kick out of the pack, and it's going to be possibly a Victorian mark. They weren't there quickly enough, though. The West Aussies are going to run it out. And well played, Western Australia, as Jeff Hooper gets that long kick up toward the centre diamond area. A big pack of players go for the ball. No one can win it away. The Vic's doing well at ground level early, as it's Graven from the Ovens and Murray, who kicks long. And there's a Victorian mark down here, and a strong mark, too, for the Vics. And we'll see who gets up. Might be young Hogarty down there in that forward pocket area, who's going to have a shot for goal. He would be about 45 metres out. He's elected for the short pass instead. The target down here is Murray Whitcomb, and Whitcomb's chipped in to take a good mark.
And the VCFL at the moment doing all the attacking. And at the moment they have the chance to put the first score on the board. We've only travelled some 60 seconds into this first quarter in this Tui's Challenge match this afternoon. Stuart Gull on screen, of course, very nervous. We had a little chat to him earlier on. Let's see if the VCFL can notch the first major. The kick's on its way. Right foot drop punt. We'll wait on the goal umpire. He comes in to signal only one behind. But at least the VCFL have got it in their scoring zone. And a few nerves will be playing a big part down there at the moment, Rod.
Yes, that was Murray Whitcomb, by the way, the former Geelong player, played over 100 games of football and represented Victoria. And the kick out from full-back goes Victoria's way to big Alistair Ford. Very nice hand pass there onto Gary Odgers, the former St Kilda player, looking for the goal mouth but can't find it. And it's rushed behind, I believe, and the second score on the board for the day here at Deakin Reserve Shepherd, on the scene of this great Tui's Challenge Cup. And we're looking forward to a great game of football here this afternoon.
Okay, West Australia about to come back into attack again. It's only a short one from fullback. And the mark there taken by O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin drives it in towards the centre of the ground. Oh, good mark taken over the top there by the big fellow there. Number 21 between his shoulder blades and Chris Stacey. Only a young fellow played Teal Cup football last week with a shocking kick, but they get away with it. Victoria forward through McElwain. McElwain's kick doesn't look too bad. Let's have a look and see what the goal umpire has to say. That's the first one on the scoreboard for the VCFL, so they now go to a 1-2, and they're leading the West Australians at the moment, but a little bit of indiscretion in the centre of the ground there, Shane Healy. I almost thought that the big V were going to come unstuck.
That Stacey's done some good work early, Rob. He's come into the side as a late replacement for Bendigo's Dean Strosh, who had to be left out through injury, and he's already picked up 2 or 3 very handy positions and looks like he uses the ball very well. It's back in the centre again, and it's going to be big forward going up, and again loses out. The West Aussies on ground level. O'Loughlin, who's played a couple of games for the Eagles, couldn't get it away. They're going in pretty hard. Peter Slater goes in and gives a hard bump, and they're going to bring it away this time, the Western Australian countryside, and kick long into the full forward line area. It bounces to the back, but the Vics are going to get it away, and the Koroit representative in Dobson plants one on David Hando's chest, and he's away now with a poor hand pass that put his teammate under pressure, and the West Aussies might be able to come in and clean up here. That's Noel Bairstow with the blonde hair, tried to get it across to a teammate and did so. Big Rogers now. They're fiddling around a little bit, the West Aussies, and not using the ball as well as they might be. Going backwards, eventually it lands with Kemp of Western Australia. His kick's a bad one, and there's a wall of Victorians who can bring it away here. They could have raffled that, making hard work of it, but they'll finally get the hand pass across and bring it away toward the wing, where the captain, Michael Lenigan, now down in the Geelong League, ex-Bendigo player, has made good position and is going to get the Vics moving.
And then kick finds Murray on the chest, halfway between centre wing and that half-forward flank.
That was a beautiful pass by Lenigan on that occasion, and Murray also finds another player too, and this is good football from the Victorians as Hogarth goes forward.
Hogarth drives up towards centre half forward. In front, West Australia, bring it to the ground. Where are the Crummers? West Australia are there. And getting away is Grognale. Grognail's kick out to the open spaces of centre wing. The race is on. Victoria and West Australia outnumbered on this occasion. Oh, big mix-up there, but they're lucky to get away with it. They fumble it. Odgers can't do a lot with it. It wasn't Odgers, actually it was McElwain. But here's a chance now for the West to go forward. Off the boot of Grognale again. That's his second kick in as many minutes. And the handball's on again. Centre half forward. Here's a chance for the West. Plenty of weight being used at the back, but the kick of Marsden goes down towards the forward zone. But it's offline. Some metre and a half around from their attacking zone. The ball to come in again from Victoria. In front is Hartney. And Brendan Hartney will take this mark. He drives out. They're sticking very close to this boundary line. A battle of the two big men there in Rogers and Ford, the two opposing ruckmen in this game this afternoon, vying for position. And the umpire about to bring the ball back into play yet again. It'll be a great duel this afternoon, I think, between these two big fellows. Rogers, plenty of size about him. Over the top of the pack there, punching it forward is the Vcfl. Having trouble handling the ball on this occasion, but the handball's out in the direction here of Lewis. Clayton Lewis, of course, the brother of Chris Lewis. Ford doing the tidying up. Big kick of Alistair Ford's towards centre wing, but we'll find a free kick go Victoria's way here. And the player taking it is Johnny Walsh. Walsh's kick inboard. Towards the centre of the ground. Finds Stacey. Stacey gets the ball moving quickly. Across to a teammate here in Whitcomb. Whitcomb's kick is off for handballs up to Craven. Craven fires from 45, but it's offline and through for another behind.
And that started again from Stacey. He's really doing well back here in the centre of the ground. And their disposal, Victoria, is leaving Western Australia ragged just at times. When they get that ball moving, they do look the better side early in the game as the West Aussies prepare to kick out. And that player's kicked the ground, I fancy, and it's landed in the arms of Murray, and that's a dangerous position for it to be. Murray under pressure could only put the ball up and under, really, and the West Aussies get away with it on this occasion as it's Jeff Hooper kicking in toward the centre, but a good Victorian mark's been taken by Murray Whitcomb, a busy player in the early stages. He goes wide and finds Graven, the Wangaratta representative in the side.
I notice Whitcomb hasn't changed a lot from his VFL days. Shane, the socks are still down, so it'll be pretty easy to pick up through the day.
The West Aussies are going to get it away again. They'll look for Bairstow on the half-back line. He's having a little bit of trouble picking it up. Got one high there, and it's going to be a free kick going the West Aussies' way, and they're going to take it from the true centre half-back position. Now, let's see if they can get something moving here. They're going to go for big Rogers. Rogers versus Ford. Two players coming in from the side also. Ford's a hard man to move. And again, the Vics have got players at the fall of the ball and get it moving with a good hand pass across here toward Rolfe. And the Castlemaine representative goes long up toward full forward. Kick wasn't well placed, but it fell into David Hando's hands. And Hando has kicked offline that time. He's a very good player, David Hando, has represented the Victorian Country Football League before, and this time misses. And so Victoria go to 1-4-10, and the Western Australian Country side yet to score.
Let's hope we see a better kick out. We do this time. It's the first time I've ever seen a representative player miskick a ball coming out from fullback, I must say that. But it's the Victorian team in the band there, and Murray Whitcomb, as the boys said, a very busy player. So far in this opening 5 minutes of football, and Murray Whitcomb's looking for a lead. Murray leads out there. No, he's gone for the short. Will it go to his captain, Mick Lenigan? It does, but Lenigan forces the ball almost over the boundary line, but it goes the Western Australia's way, and they move forward across the centre wing position. The kick is ill-directed, and the Victorians are there to butter up, and big Alistair Ford in the true centre of the ground gets the kick out to the centre half forward position. Punched away. Here's the Western Australia's in again, but Lenigan's getting very busy now. Could have received a free kick. Looking for the hand pass, and the umpire's seen an infringement, and it's going to Prognale for Western Australia. Prognale, they tell me that is. Thank you very much, Shane. And there's the kick over there looking for his teammate, and finds him in the centre of the ground. And the Western Australian boys settling play down. We've played about 7 minutes into this first quarter of the big one here at Deakin Reserve, Shepparton. And once again, the Western Australia's in the band through Kemp, but can't get it away. Oh, good play from Francis Burke. He's fighting hard for that ball, and the umpire, Wayne Byers, will call for a bounce directly in the middle of the ground.
Umpire Byers with the ball, 1-4-10. We've travelled some 8 minutes into this first quarter at the moment. The big V holding sway. Big Ford up before interceptors get the ball down to the ground, but there's no one there that can capitalise on it. Victoria battling hard underneath. They need the crummers. Ford comes in like a rover, picks it up, gets the boot to ball. Now it's into the open spaces. They have a chance to go forward, up towards half forward. And it's a one-out. A mile in front on that occasion. There was David Hando, and Hando brought it to the ground. One of the best marks we've seen so far. Early stages of the game, but that brought the crowd to their feet. Now Hando is some 50 metres out from goal. In fact, I'd hate to be buying real estate off whoever measured that 50-metre line, because it seems a lot further for mine, but into the goal square, and it's West Australia repelling the attack, but the umpire's bringing the ball back. And Len Murray, I think, will have to take that kick again. Or is he giving a free kick? What's happening here? I'd say, no, it's going to be a... well, I didn't see what that was for.
No, I didn't either, Rob. I was as mystified as you.
The umpire's closer than what we are, so he's directing traffic out there. The man in white is always white, they say, so we're not going to argue with him. We're up in the commentary box at the moment. 1-4-10, the ball over the line and out of bounds again. But the Vcfl doing most of the attacking. I notice on the boundary line at the moment, the interchange bench for the Victorian Country Football League. Stewie Gull has them up and moving. We'll get Don to keep an eye on things down there. As soon as we see a move, we'll cross down and have a chat with him. But the ball's about to be thrown into play again. Doesn't go to anyone in particular. Big Rogers gets a handball ball. Lewis, using plenty of weight, paves the way there for his teammate in Hooper to pick up. Now it's the little fellow in Crognali again. Thanks to our school teacher friend beside us here, and Shane Healy has straightened us out very quickly there, Don, with that name, thank goodness. But it comes into the centre of the ground. Oh, good juggling mark out of Platt. The umpire has it there to Patterson. Down to the ground again. Now's a chance for Patterson to get a kick. Let's fly with a right foot drop punt towards centre half forward. Who's at home? West Australia there. They couldn't bring it to the ground, though. Oh, good tackle put on the little West Australian there, O'Loughlin, by the big B. Here's a chance. They put it down into the square, but it's offline again. And that came off the boot there of Peter Slater.
And it was a good play there from Western Australia. The first time they've really brought the ball into attack with any sort of method. Let's have a look and see if they go for Lenigan on the kick out here, the Vics. Yes, they will. Lenigan's made good possession, half-back flank on the broadcast or social club side.
Gets loose.
He does, and he's a very, very good player, especially out in his own. And that's been proven now over a number of years. The Vics with good handball can get it going here. Terry Love across to Walsh. And the Traralgon representative with a poor kick in toward the forward line. But gee whiz, hasn't Hando been busy? He gets it across to the running Rolfe. Here's danger. Further hand pass to Johnson. And the boy from the Geelong League, who never kicked very accurately when he was down with Geelong in the VFL, is offline again here, under plenty of pressure, I might add. And just the one behind to the Victorian side. So the ball running from one end to the other very quickly there. And really hardly a Western Australian player even getting their hand on it. So the Victorian Country Football League side won 5-11 at the 11-minute mark of the first quarter, and the Western Australians won behind at 1 point. After the kick out, Big Ford went up, but loses out this time. Ball goes to Pearce when it hit the ground, and Western Australia's Pearce goes down toward the half-forward line. Good battle down there. Up went right of the Western Australian side and did well. Fires toward full forward. Let's see if the West Aussie full forward in Ditchburn can get this one. No, the captain couldn't get his hand to it. And Victoria again clear away. Francis Burke got a bad bounce, and it might come here for Steve Perham. He's had a flying shot for goal as Perham. That's a great goal. That's a beauty. And that takes the West Aussies on to 1-1-7. Victorian Country 1-5-11.
Stewie Gull not looking too happy there too about that goal, but it was a good effort from the Western Australians. And I would say too that the player at centre half back for the Victorian boys is going to have his hands really full. He's on a great player in Lee Wright. And that could be a very interesting situation before we go much further.
Well, we had a look at Moyle last week, Shane, didn't we, over in the Wimmera? And he impressed me. A pretty tough, rugged sort of a customer. Play on the way again, back here in the centre of the ground. Stacks on the mill again. Very scrambly play out there at the moment. But at least we've got good conditions. I think once the nerves settle down, the skills of the game will be seen to its best. Here's Ford. Big chance. No, it's not Ford. It's Graham Moyle. A tough fellow from the Wimmera. Moyle's punch-out goes to little Danny Graven. Graven's kick out towards centre wing, right underneath the scoreboard, far side of the ground. They get it moving quickly, the Victorian side, and straight into the arms of David Hando. Hando is about to drive this ball in again cleverly. Oh, sells the hand pass, comes in and puts boot to ball, but it's a wobbly old kick. I don't know whether that was supposed to happen, but at least it's worked to McElwain. McElwain takes this mark some 45 metres out on about a 60-degree angle for the Victorian side. Wind conditions, having a look right at the moment, I don't think are really going to worry either side here this afternoon. Pretty still.
Virtually nil, I would say. The conditions are absolutely ideal for football this afternoon.
Ball on its way. Is it going to fall short? No touch. Still in play. Snapped off the back there by Murray, was it?
Yes.
Let's have a look. Oh, great goal to Kenny Murray. And Kenny Murray is going to be have to be watched by the West Australian team because he's a sort of player who can just mull around that forward line, not do a great deal, all of a sudden come in with some good, strong work. There's plenty of him. Beautiful kick for goal, even deliberately, and that was a great snap by him.
That was a fine goal from Murray, and I think we must give credit, Rod, to the work of Hando, the boy from St Arnaud, on the far half-forward flank. He must have had half a dozen possessions already.
At least. A very, very busy boy, and certainly one of Victoria's best players at the moment. OK, the umpire has the ball in the centre of the ground. On this occasion, it's the umpire from Geelong in Rod McEwen. Bounces it down. Big Alistair Ford's in the ruck there. He's been fairly busy. Loses it once again. He's not going quite so well in the ruck, but it was Hogarth for the Victorians to bring it up to a very busy Michael Lenigan, who's been playing very well onto the left foot, but ill-directed. Western Australia butters up and comes out there looking for his teammate, and plenty of speed in this fella too. There's a push in the back that doesn't go unsighted by the umpire, and that player will receive the kick, and that's Mick Cleary, who's been fairly busy for the Western Australian across that centre line.
Plenty of weight being thrown there by Gary Odgers, of course, for the Victorian countryside. Pretty tough little customer in that back pocket. The ball down towards centre half forward. Big Ford had the hands on ball. Good handball comes out there from the Victorian side there in Moyle. but it's almost going to come unstuck, but they've got the runners out of the open spaces. Let's see what can happen here. Bodies meet. Plenty of weight being used at the moment. Kicked off the ground. That's the easiest way if you can't pick it up. Stacey, it was the player. Gets it out in the direction here of teammate in Lenigan. Lenigan, by gee, he's busy. Now we've got Hogarth with the ball, or Hogarty actually with the ball. So he gets it up there towards the big fellow in Peter Johnson, well out from goal on that occasion. He's going to bring it in towards the centre-half forward position. Chipping in nicely there, West Australia. Battling the ball along in front. It won't come up for them. Oh, well done. Now they find the open spaces. Here we find with the ball is Jeff Hooper. Hooper's got the handball on, puts his teammate under pressure there, the little fellow in Nick Cleary. This allows Victoria to come through the agency here of Hogarty, and Hogarty drives from centre-half forward, but a good diving mark almost taken on that occasion by Beaver. Spilled at the last moment. The umpire's called a trip, and the free kick's going to go Victoria's way, and it looks like it could go towards Kenny Murray. We praised him up before for his kicking ability. Murray, I don't think it is going to be Murray. It's not. It's actually Hando. Hando drives in short. Oh, shocking kick. Running in to look for the lead there was McElwain, but unfortunately the kick was astray. West Australia off the boot of Besto. Besto across to O'Loughlin. And O'Loughlin's kick in towards the centre, looking for Lewis. Clever. Gets it out. Finds a teammate here in Slater. Slater spins round onto the left boot. There's nobody home, so it's a charge on. The big fellow there racing in for Victoria, trying to get the boot to ball was Moyle. But the handball's on. West Australia, quick hands this time. Out here to right towards centre-half forward, over the top of Ditchburn. It's all Victoria. The handball's on again. Oh, good football. They butter up well. Off the boot of Martin. Martin's kick to the open spaces. Finds Stacey. Stacey's handball's on to Lenigan. Oh, gee, he's been busy in the first quarter. Too high for Murray. Couldn't bring it to the ground. Here's the Crummers. The big chance now for Johnson. Can he do something with it? In there, Lenigan again. Gee, I'd love to know how many kicks or how many touches of the ball he's had so far in the court. Up towards the forward zone. Oh, body and weight being utilised well there by the Victorian side. And it looks like McElwain here. It's going to take this mark. Probably a little bit disappointing what we saw of last week. But there's been some big raps on this kid. Young Jeff McElwain has a chance to put the Vcfl's third goal on the scoreboard. He's only 20 metres out from goal. Shouldn't miss that one, although the umpire runs across the face of goal. It's through. So that's their third on the scoreboard. They now move on to 3-5. And the West Australian Football League languishing back there on 1-1.
And the kick that came into McElwain came from that boy Stacey again. And I think if we were to get three good players early, they'd have to be Lenigan, Hando and Stacey. They've all been particularly busy. Lenigan nearly always uses the ball. That's what I like about this guy, and didn't quite make it with Geelong in the VFL. Then he said he was just not able to withstand the physical pressure of Victorian Football League football, but he's been a class country footballer now for many years.
Well, 23 plays 7. We've travelled 17 minutes into this first quarter.
Umpire Byers has the ball, and they go Victorians this way, but Lewis has the ball, can't get it away. There's too many of the white Guernseys in there. Another good football over there to the Ovens and Murray representative in Danny Craven, and good play to Johnson. Johnson spins around looking for a couple of players up forward. Stacey knocks it on, and there's Murray in there for the van for the Vics. Finally, it's picked up by Walsh for the Victorian team, and Hando runs the ball out of bounds right in the true forward pocket position for the Victorians.
Hando's been very busy up there in that forward pocket.
Oh, he's probably Victoria's best at the moment. In fact, all of their best players, I think, are the little fellas, aren't they? They've been running around very, very busy, and they've been showing the Western Australians a thing or two on the pace department, which is a little bit surprising because usually we think of the hard grounds over in the West and very pacey, fast players.
Well, there's good handball from the West to get it out that time. It came from O'Loughlin across to Slater, in toward the middle where Patterson drops what he probably should have had, and then fires out a poor hand pass which falls for Murray Whitcomb. He gets it across field now toward Burke, the Bendigo representative, and Burke goes long. The target down there was Big Walsh. The ball stumped away from him. Leading in the race for the ball out there is Chris Stacey from Koroit down there in the Western District in the Hamden Football League, and I'm sure they're all watching in Koroit this afternoon, this big clash. The Tooheys Challenge Cup between the Victorian and Western Australian Country Football Leagues. And at the 18-minute mark of the first quarter, Victoria in front, 3-5-23 to 1-1-7. Tap down comes the way of Glenn O'Loughlin, been a pretty busy player for the West. His kick down the far wing is overrun by the Vics, but they've still got time to butter up and fire the hand pass across to Moyle. He goes further afield now toward this Victorian player coming in hard in Chris Martin from Seymour. His kick was looking down here for Hando again, but chipping in as the Western Australian side to take a strong mark, and it looks like Jeff Hooper, who plays for the Eastern Districts League in the Western Australian Country area. He goes to Lewis in the centre of the ground. Clayton Lewis from Southwest has got the ball. Any of our viewers who are from the West would know a few of these leagues that we're identifying for you this afternoon. A long kick. Hartney will read that at the back. And the Sandhurst captain coach takes a strong mark. And it's these smaller Victorian players who are cutting WA to shreds at the moment. They get the ball running again with a good pass down to Peter Johnson. And he's going to go back across field toward Craven, who'd given him the ball in the first place and kept running. And Craven goes long. Centre half forwards where the ball lands, and it's a Western Australian mark taken by Merv. Come again. There he is on the ground. And Merv's got the ball, the boy from the Great Northern League. He goes across the diamond towards centre half forward. Out comes Big Moyle again. Couldn't pick it up. It falls toward Gary Hodges, the Golden Point representative. He couldn't pick it up either. Pretty scrambly in there. Hand pass fires out to Kim Rogers, who wouldn't win a stall gift, would he? But got the hand pass out now toward O'Loughlin. WA's best player by a fair way. He goes toward the half-forward line, and a strong mark taken here by Marsden.
I think Don's got a report for us down on the ground.
Well, there's not much news coming from the bench, fellas. Things have been pretty quiet, except that the interesting thing was that Stewie Gull sent the big message out for the boys to move around on the forward line. Particularly Peter Johnson got the message, and you saw what happened when he moved around, came up the ground, took the mark and was able to clear the ball away. So I'm sure that that's the idea of the Victorian side, to keep that ball moving on the forward line.
Blown away again. It's in the West Australian attacking zone at the moment. We'll have all those reports for you down on that boundary line with Don Kilgour all throughout the day. This one's going to be close. There's a mark just inside. Boundary umpires called it out on the full. Not according to Big Peter Johnson, who's well down from the forward line. We'll find the free kick going West Australia's way, and it'll come here off the boot of Jeff Hooper. Hooper should drive this in towards centre half forward. Looking up there for Ditchburn. No, not too many moves at the moment. But all I can see down there at the moment is 4 big V jumpers go up in the air. The handball comes out here off for Hodges, and they get it moving quickly, but over the line and out of bounds. And Mick Cleary taking it on that occasion. So the ball has not travelled out of that attacking zone too far at all.
Certainly Johnson's taking Stuart Gull's instructions to the letter, as he moved right down to the wing then from the full forward position.
Carting Big Craig Patterson around with him. The tap out goes Victoria's direction. But a big punch on that occasion comes off the hands of Hooper again. And that's gone over the line and out of bounds. Right in front of our grandstand or broadcasting position this afternoon. And at the moment, the scoreboard sees the Vcfl 3-5-23. West Australia 1-1-7. And we're approaching the 21.5-minute mark of this first quarter. Big kick. Goes up towards the centre wing. Couldn't bring it to the ground. There was Big Walsh. West Australia defend well. Looking for forward. Can't bring it to the ground. Plenty of weight. Out of my way, says the big fellow there from West Australia, and Kim Rogers. And there's plenty of weight being used at the moment. Good skills. High kick there from Little Graven. Straight through the arms there of McElwain. There's a chance for the V to go forward. This time it's Hogarty. Hogarty's kick's a shocker. Not a lot of direction when the ball goes forward for the big V at the moment. But as we said before, there's got to be some nerves out there as the umpire puts a whistle on play. And we'll see a bounce down. Emirates almost 45, 48 metres out from Victoria's attacking zone.
Well, it's a centre half forward and a chance for the Vic to mount something here. There's the bounce. Up they go, and big Johnny Welsh goes up for the Victorian side, fired it down to Hando. His hand pass really went to nobody in particular. Out comes the WA fullback. He's doing well down there, Len Murray, and he put his body in hard there and is going to take a free kick and a 50-metre penalty. And the ball not given back to him in the required fashion, I fancy. And Michael Lenigan, the Victorian captain, being dragged right back into the centre of Deakin Reserve here in Shepparton on a balmy winter afternoon. And there's that long kick, that time from Murray, up toward Ditchburn. Hasn't had his hands around the ball yet. It falls this time for Tom Pearce. Can he pick it up? Fires the hand pass out now to Crook. And Crook from the Eastern District League has slammed home a fine goal for the Western Australian side. That was Andrew Crook, who ran into the open goal there, put it on the left foot, and the WA side have got their second major of the afternoon here. Western Australian Country Football League goes to 2-1-13, and the Victorian Country Football League 3-5-23. Rod, when they've moved that ball into the forward line, on occasions they've looked fairly slick.
Yes, well, they've endeavoured to keep the forward line open, and once the ball gets down there and some of their more active players get into it, they do move the ball down. But unfortunately for them, it hasn't been going across the centre line enough.
Fairly good crowd. We can see the West Australian coach there on screen in Rob Howan. Ball back in the centre of the ground. Up there is forward. Taps to the ground. Lewis throws the Victorian representative to the ground, but the umpire said, no, you tried to throw the ball on that occasion. The free kick will go West Australia's way to Pearce. And little Tommy Pearce with the ball in the centre of the ground from Central Great Southern in Western Australia. Pearce wanting to get the ball moving quickly, does that. Oh, a nice long trajectory kick looking for the forwards up there, but they couldn't bring it to ground. Here's a chance. The handball's on. Now West Australia from 15 metres out up the boot here of Lee Wright. And they've banged another one on. So we've got an interesting game of football. We're almost into red time or time on. 24 minutes gone of this first quarter. And we see both sides locked together on 3 goals apiece. The points are separating, though. 4 points at the moment to the Big V.
I was just thinking, Rod, of Central Great Southern.
Yes.
That could be anywhere, couldn't it?
Well, with a state as big as Western Australia, we just wonder where it is. But obviously a long way from Perth. That's about all we can think of.
You could probably take a good guess and still be 500 kilometres out, I reckon.
That might be the little guy that travels down 100 k's to training.
Well, there's only 4 points of difference here, and Western Australia are really making a go of it. They've settled down well, but in there is Big Moyle for the Vics. But all Lewis has got the hand pass out, and that's good football once again. And it goes to Big Lee Wright, who kicked the last goal. And has he kicked another one?
He has.
He has, by golly. That's a very, very quick way of moving into this game. Lee Wright, as I mentioned earlier on, about halfway through the quarter, I thought that Big Moyle would have his hands full with this boy, and he's already shown it with 2 quick goals in just the last couple of seconds.
I think if you had to be critical, though, Shane, you can see on replay there, moving through the centre, and it was a good kick there off the boot of him. But I think if you've got to be critical of the Victorians, I think they've wasted a lot of opportunities from the centre to centre half forward. Their kicking has been shocking.
Yes, too much sure passing on the forward line. We've given Hando and also Lenigan a rap, but a couple of their disposals have been disappointing, especially when the Vics really did have goals set up.
Well, the battle's on again. This time it's Rogers for West Australia. Up there is Ford Rogers, gets it to the ground. Weight being thrown in there by Brett Marsden from the West. Underneath it, Peter Slater, battling hard. Too high, the umpire says. The free kick will go Slater's way. And a little bit reminiscent from up here of the ghost we know here in Victoria of Jimmy Jess.
Jimmy Jess.
Slater's kick towards that 50-metre line. Desperation being used there. Ford is covering a lot of territory down there for a big man. And he's in there battling hard for Victoria, but the free kick has come out in the direction of Murray Whitcomb. I think Whitcomb might have swapped wings, actually, because he started off on that far side of the ground. Whitcomb's kick towards centre wing. In front, couldn't bring it to the ground, was Butterfin, is it, onto the ground. Picking up here is Hogarty, but the ball's going to be all players go over the line and out of bounds. Actually, the player I was looking at was Johnny Walsh.
Rod, I have the feeling that the WA side have settled down and they're starting to believe in themselves a little bit more now.
They have. Obviously, a little bit strange to them playing over here, and maybe overawed a little bit because of the Victorian team did knock them off last year, but by gee, they've settled down and playing pretty good football. And there's a bit of a how do you do on just in front of the broadcasting box here too, and players getting into it. It's something you don't see very often in interstate clashes, but in the meantime, the play's going on. It's in the hands of Chris Stacey, the boy from Koroit. 2 Koroit players playing today, representing the Hampden League, and that was Stacey and also Brendan Dobson at fullback. Or Lenigan meets a player very, very hard. Geez, a tough customer, but well done. There was Jeff Hooper for the Western Australian country team, and puts it up to his teammate, who marks it in John Cognali.
It was good umpiring there on that occasion by the umpires to let play go on. If they want to wrestle at centre wing, let them go. They're only doing a disservice to their team as the West Australian go forward. A good mark taken by Ditchburn. The handball's on, but there's 2 against 1 down here. Let's see what can happen. Comes off the hands of Perham and to the ground again, but he butters up well. Good football as he got a teammate there to help him out. Slips at the vital stage, but gets it across here now to Marsden. What's Marsden done with this one? It looks all right for mine, and that could be their 5th goal on the board. It is, so they now go to 5-1, and the Vcfl, who looked in control in the early stages of this quarter, now languish back on 3-5-23.
I just wonder if the runner might not go out to Michael Rolfe, the boy from Castlemaine, who allowed his wingman to come down there and create an extra man for the Western Australian side. That's the reason they kicked the goal, that he wasn't prepared to come back and defend on that occasion. And
Barry Cable on screen.
There. Yeah, Barry Cable. I saw him yesterday down there with the Eagles playing the Bombers, and here he is now covering some ground watching the country boys. They've started pretty well after the Vics just got that early edge, and the Vics are going to get it out of the centre this time and drive to Lenigan. This is where he's most dangerous, when he's running. It's intercepted beautifully that time by Johnson. Fires the hand pass across to Stacey. Gee, I like this guy. And he slammed that right through the high little of Stacey, and he is a very classy customer. He's got a good goal there, has Stacey. 2 now for that player. And there's the scoreboard. A very entertaining opening quarter here on the 6 Network. The Tooheys Challenge Cup from Shepparton.
There's the think tank of the VCFL there. Stuart Gull on the screen.
And Mark Patterson sitting next to him with the...
was in full voice last night, Mr. Patterson. Doesn't say much through the week, but the vocal cords really got a workout last night. We won't say where. We won't dob him in, but they enjoyed themselves, and I think that's the good thing about matches like this between... opposite states and opposing leagues, where the harmony and the camaraderie comes together.
Oh, sure.
West Australia into attack again. They drive it down towards a half-forward flank. Out-bustled on that occasion was Hartney for the VCFL. Plenty of weight being used, of course, and the free kick's going to go the Victorians' way. They'll get it moving quickly. In towards the centre, looking for Ford, right on the corner of the diamond, actually, and the big fellow will take this kick, will drive it long, or should drive it long. He does just that. The raking left footer, looking for Walsh at the back. Good mark, and brought it to the ground. And they're going to have to look for their taller players and get the ball and move it long, because that's what's bringing them undone for mine at the moment. Oh, chipping and taking a nice mark there is Hando, played on quickly, saw the opening, there was nobody there. Here's Lenihan with a chance, gets it out to Murray. The handball's on, will they get away with it? Lenihan gets right boot to ball, it's high. I don't think it's travelled, it's 10 metres. There's a chance. Off the boot here of this occasion by Murray, but the siren's gone, and it's gone through from behind. We'll just wait to see what the umpire's decision is. It's given it a behind, I think. Yes, they'll now move on to a 4-6, and the West Australian Football League 5-1. 31 plays 30. What an entertaining first quarter we've had so far. Only 1 point. You couldn't wish for any better, Rod, even if you'd scripted it.
No, it's been a grand opening quarter. Almost a quarter of two halves, if we could mention that, because the Victorians settled down so well, and they looked as though they were going to go away with it. But full marks to Western Australia. They came back very quickly and put on two or three very quick goals, and they're right into it at the first break.
Well, the goal kickers for the Victorians at the moment, McElwain has 2, Stacey has 2, Ken Murray has 1, and for the West Australians, we have Cook with 1, Perrinan 1, we have Marsden with 1, and Lee Wright with 2 so far.
Well, we're going to take a break at quarter time here in the Tooheys Challenge Cup from Deakin Reserve in Shepparton, and back shortly on the 6 Network.
Welcome back to Deakin Reserve here, and Stuart Gull on screen at the moment, having a few harsh words to the Vcfl side. Yeah, we've got a great game of football here at the moment. 4-6-30, the Vcfl to the West Australian Football League 5-1-31, and Rob Howan is on screen there at the moment for the West Australian side, and a young fellow with a coaching job to lead the Sandgropers, hopefully to victory this year. Having a look through perhaps some of the better players, Shane Healy at the moment on the Victorian side of the ledger.
I thought their smaller players, Rob, really gave them the edge in the first 15 or 20 minutes, and I thought Craven from Wangaratta, Hando from St Arnaud, Hogarth from Mildura were very, very busy players. If you put Lenigan in the smaller player category, he's more of a ruck rover type. He would certainly have had to have been marked down. And I thought the work of Stacey from Koroit, and I really couldn't work out whether he was ruck roving or playing in the centre, because Lenigan was covering so much ground. Really, you could have almost said he was playing a ruck roving role. But those players, I thought, were the keys. I had a little bit of a theory when the ball hit the ground in Victoria's defence later in the quarter. They looked just a little bit slow, and I thought full marks to Ford around the ground, doing a lot of good work, not getting a lot of taps, but winning a lot of marks around the ground. But overall, I think Gull's got a little bit of work to do there, because the West Aussies took the ball into attack too easily later in the quarter.
Well, I know Rod Kilgour tends to agree with you that the Victorians do look a little bit slow at times, but I suppose when you analyse the scores at the moment, there's still a lot between them, is there?
No, that's very true, but the Western Australia did look pretty impressive when they were going forward.
All right, the teams have broken up on their way back to positions for this second quarter. Don Kilgour is down on ground level. Don, what's been happening down in the VCFL quarters? Well, we've got a few problems down there at the moment with Don, but we'll get back to him as quick as we possibly can and get a report what's actually been happening with the VCFL side. Be interesting, I suppose, perhaps, Rod, we might get you to cast an eye across that ground and see whether the interchange bench has been used as yet. But, Shane, if you were Stuart Gull at the moment, perhaps what would you be doing?
Well, I think certainly he's got to look at a couple of perhaps more mobile, quicker players in defence. There's no doubt about that. Hartney and also Moyle just looked a shade slow when the ball hit the ground in that first quarter, I thought, and because of that, the WA side got a couple of easy goals. But checking their better players, I thought O'Loughlin, number 3, their vice-captain, was a very, very good player for them. Jeff Hooper was winning plenty of kicks around the ground. The big ruckman Rogers, I thought, deserved a rap, and later in the quarter, I thought Clayton Lewis, off a half-back line, Chris Lewis's brother, began to start creating quite a few opportunities, and the other boy I thought did well was Mick Cleary, and I suppose you've got to give Lee Wright a rap. He chipped in with 2 goals, the big centre-half forward. Rod picked him up early as a danger man, and I thought he was also a good contributor. And as we start the second quarter, it's the visitors. The Sandgropers in front by 1 point.
The ball in the centre of the ground. Oh, good knock there by Ford on that occasion, who's, we say, has been very busy, but so too has been a busy player in Dean Kemp for Western Australia, but can't get the ball out. Either can Lewis. Oh, Stacks on the mill. Can the umpire, for heaven's sake, give a free kick and we'll get the ball out of the centre. But I think he's going to bounce it up once again. Yes, he will. Umpire Wayne Byers in charge here this afternoon with umpire Don McEwen from Geelong. Wayne Byers, Goulburn Valley's most experienced umpire. Oh, good effort there in the ruck from Big Kim Rogers. Sees it go forwards the Western Australia's way. Can't pick it up. Can the Victorian countryside. But a player's been decked and the umpire has seen it. and they weren't very impressed with Lee Wright's performance there, and we're going to see Michael Rolfe. As a matter of fact, Michael Rolfe knows this ground only too well. He formerly played as a junior with Echuca, except it's going the other way. We thought it was going to Victoria, but it's gone to Western Australia, and we can't understand why. However, that's happened, and now the ball is in the back line, and Brendan Dobson, the boy from Koroit, has the chance. Represented the Hampden League on many occasions as Dobson. Nice kick up. Oh, good play there on that occasion from Hando. Gee, he's been a busy player. Hando's kick up looking at centre half forward, but it's all the West. And Aaron Beaver, there's the man in charge there who takes the ball at centre half back.
Beaver chips it across there to a teammate in Slater. Slater has got a paddock to run in, doesn't elect to do so. He's getting it moving quickly out into the open spaces, looking for Crognali. Got our tongue around that one, Shane Healy, you'd be proud of us. But it's Victoria defending well from that half-back line. They get it out there off the boot of Hartney. Hartney's kick towards centre wing, but it's going to beat players and go over the line and out of bounds. So at the moment, 30 playing 31. 1.5 minutes into this second quarter. And no drastic changes I see at the moment on the ground. I don't think either coaches have made too many changes. The big ruck work being done there today by Kim Rogers for the Victorian side. It was the big fellow there in forward. The ball comes out loose. There's a chance. West Australia diving on the ball desperately, but the Victorians are in there battling hard too. Kick off the ground from Murray, goes right into the open spaces of that forward pocket. They lead in the race for the ball, Victoria. Oh, Maradona would almost be pretty proud of that one, but I think it might have beaten him over the line and out of bounds before he got boot to ball, and it was Danny Craven that was doing all the hard work down there, the little fellow. Quite a busy player in that first quarter.
Got some toe, hasn't he?
Has got some toe. There's been a few speedy customers out there at the moment. Although it was interesting to hear Rod say before in relation to the West Australians, the conditions should suit them. I expected them to probably be a little bit quicker than what they are, but at the moment, they hold sway by 1 point. There's a kick high looking for Murray in the square, but it's going to be punched away by the West Australian backman there. That was Jeff Hooper.
I wonder whether Murray may be doing some full forward work, as you know him very well in the Ballarat area, a former great century goal kicker there and a century goal kicker in Goulburn Valley as well.
Well, Kenny Murray is down there doing sway for, or holding sway for Victoria. But West Australia get it back to the open spaces. Pressure being applied by the West on that occasion, and it was young Dean Kemp who didn't give up whatsoever, putting pressure on the VCFL and forcing that player on the ball over the line and out of bounds. 40 metres around from their attacking zone. The big fellow in there is Walsh, who's going to do the ruck work over the back. Another Victorian player, but it's quick hands to the ball there on that occasion from Rolfe. His kick goes down into the square, battling in hard, but there's a point being forced through there, and it's Len Murray that actually has taken that through for the West.
I haven't seen any changes of personnel on and off the ground, but it looks like Johnson has gone into the ruck and Murray to full forward.
Well, you wouldn't believe it. As soon as you say that, the interchange bench, Tony Beck, for those people around Stawell and the Wimmera area, Tony Beck, a TUI medalist, I think on 4 occasions, is onto the ground, and quite an exciting player. Plenty of experience. He'll get a touch of the ball very shortly. You mark my words. There's the ball to the ground. Francis Burke it is. Right foot. Driving pass out there towards that half-forward flank. Just couldn't pluck it up off the ground on that occasion. Was Odgers, I think, that was down there. Now here's a chance for the Vicks to go forward. Handball's on. Lenihan, high kick in towards centre half forward. The big arms there go up of Walsh. As he brought it to the ground, the umpire said play on. Perhaps the best decision. There were a few pair of hands on the ball on that occasion. And we'll see a ball up some 30 metres out directly in front of the Victorian goal. Plenty of big fellows in there for the Victorian side. Big Rogers in there for West Australia. He's going to do the ruck work. It's Walsh, gets the tap down. It's all West Australia. It looks like it's come off the boot there of... Come again. I was going to call him Comegan, so I'm glad you've straightened us out on what his name is, but he has come again. He's got the ball anyhow, but it's out in that far flank. Plenty of weight being used to the open spaces. Here's a chance now. West Australia on with the handball in the middle to Slater. Slater will now kick. Look towards centre half forward. He's elected to go across the diamond. The handball was on there on that occasion off Cognali. He's elected to go inboard. Looking for a big fellow there and right. He couldn't do a lot with it. Now Slater's chance at centre half forward. Open goals. There's nobody home. What's the ball going to do? No, it's going to be trapped. Picked up there by Perham. And Perham's kicked in towards about 30 metres out from goal. A nice little mark taken there by Marsden. Now Marsden shouldn't have too many problems of kicking a goal. We see the big fellow Rogers coming off the interchange bench. Going on for West Australia is Cooper. But let's see what Marsden can do with this ball. 30 metres out directly in front. Lays back on it with the left foot, but I think it's good enough to go through. It is. So the West Australian side go on to 6 goals, 1-37, and they're now leading the VCFL 4-7-31.
And he's got 2 goals now, Marsden, and I think another good example there is, looks like Rolf coming off for Bendigo, or for the Victorian side, the Bendigo boy. And
Can't tell where you come from, can we?
well, I can see another great player going on in Terry Love, ex-Footscray, and of course now playing with the Dalesford Football Club in the Ballarat League. The goal resulted again from Bendigo's lack of pace, or VCFL's lack of pace. It was a Bendigo player in Brendan Hartney. When the ball hit the ground, the WA side got away comfortably, and in the end were able to kick a good major. So it's back in the centre now, and the West Aussies in front by a goal. Win it out of the centre too with some good hard work that time from Tom Pearce. He goes to the half-forward line. A little bit of pushing and shoving here. I think it's going to go against Craig Patterson of Western Australia. And they're going to see a free kick going the Victorians' way, and it's going to be Moyle from the true centre half-back. That's a glorious kick, 55 metres, long up and toward the half-forward line. Traverse the diamond. WA, bad mistake there. Noel Bairstow dropped to centre, but does cover up well, and fires out a good long hand pass to Crognali. And away goes Don Crognali with a long kick up toward the true full-forward position. Who's down? It's WA down again. On the ground is Glenn O'Loughlin. Can he get his foot to the ball? He's going to get a free. Well, I thought that was Tiggy Touchwood, actually, but he's going to get it. This boy, Glenn O'Loughlin, has played a couple of games with the Eagles, and he's going to go back and have a shot from about 20 metres out, and he will be as good as directly in front. There's the WA coach in Rob Howan having a word to the runner. There's been a couple of changes in this quarter with the big Ruckman Rogers coming off and big Cooper going on. And O'Loughlin with a pretty important shot here for the WA side. He can put them 2 goals in front, and he's done that. Probably their best player in the first quarter, and now kicks a good goal. The vice-captain of the WA side at the start of the second. Not a lot of life among the crowd when WA kick majors. That's, I suppose, a good tradition of interstate clashes. WA 2 goals in front, 7-1-43 to 4-7-31.
The Victorian runner, Alan Thompson, on the ground, out there having a chat with Tony Beck. Now, Beck has now gone into the centre of the ground, so he's moved from that half-back flank where he was running onto. The interchange player, Beck, the fresh player for Victoria, on the ground. You probably haven't seen a lot of this player, Rod, but gee, he reads the game well.
Yes, he's playing in the centre now by the looks, taking over from Stacey, who's having a spell. Western Australia with it once again. Lewis over to his teammate in Crognali, who's been very dominant. And we see the Victorian coming away, but there's been an infringement there, and it was against Terry Love, who's just come onto the ground and goes to his opposition in Dean Kemp from Western Australia, who's been a fairly active player since halfway through the first term. No one seems to be able to handle the ball. The little fella from Western Australia again in Crognali goes forward for goal, but he's off line and through for one behind. Bit concerned about the Victorian defence at the moment, as the boys were saying earlier. It seems a little slow, and quite often the Western Australians seem to be keeping their forward line very, very open.
I think the big problem for Victoria at the moment, the West Australian side, when the ball comes to ground, they've got the small running players there doing all the damage. And at the moment, Victoria are just being outgunned at the moment. The small men for the West doing all the damage. Here's Hartney with the ball towards centre wing. The big handball comes off the West Australian, Jeff Hooper. Again, players diving on the ball. Scrambly football, centre wing. The handball comes out to the open spaces now. There's a chance for a Cleary. The handball's on to Marsden. Marsden's kicked in towards centre half forward. Up very, very high there was Kemp. Nothing eventuated. Now's a chance again here for the little fellow here in Cleary. Cleary's kick from that 50-metre line. Ooh, just tucked in there, right onto the front of Chris Martin. And Martin's defence stood well for the VCFL. Far side of the ground. Weight being used. Punch from behind there by the West. And the player in front there for Victoria, Francis Burke. Would have cupped a nice old one behind the ear hole, but it was all fair and above board. Weight being used. That's what we like to see. A good, hard, tough tussle. The Deakin reserves turned on the sunshine for us this afternoon. Ground in magnificent condition. Boundary umpire lets the ball come in yet again. I think it's going to be players and go over the line and out of bounds. 44 plays 31. We've almost travelled 9.5 minutes of this second quarter. And at the moment, West Australian combination are holding sway.
Well, they're playing well too. They deserve their lead. They've really played the better footy since halfway through that first quarter. 7-2 plays 4-7. Throw in far side of the ground. Victoria go in hard here. It's Tony Beck doing some good work, but it's going to be against the Vicks, and a free kick going WA's way to Craig Patterson. He's right under the scoreboard out there on the far wing position, right footer. and it's a good driving drop punt. Clears the 50-metre line. Up they go in the forward area. Comes to the ground. No one can win it away on this occasion. WA getting their bodies in there. There's a big pack of players around the ball. Two of the players in there are Glenn O'Loughlin, number 3. You can see also number 1, Peter Slater. And getting up off the ground is number 14, Lee Wright for the WA side. And we're going to see a bounce down 45 metres out from the WA goals. Up they go. Big Moyle got the tap away. Victoria goes in, so too to the WA side. Don Crognali has been penalised here, and there's going to be a free kick going Victoria's way. And it might be little Craven down there in the deep defensive area to get the ball moving for the Victorian side. Big, long boot up down the far wing it goes. McElwain went up, couldn't take the mark. The ball comes to the ground again. 2-on-2 out there. Good battle. They're locking it in. And the umpire says, give it to me. I'll unlock that and ball it up on that far wing position. Or is he going to give a free kick? No, it's going to come back to the ump. And if you've just joined us on the Six Network here in the Tooheys Challenge Cup, it's the Vics down by 13 points after they looked good in the first 15 minutes. The WA side have come right back at them. And they win it away again with good handball. Come again across to Crognali. He's dominating. Crognali kicks down toward Ditchburn in the forward line. Hartney's out in front though. And Brendan Hartney is going to take this kick for the Victorian Country Football League side.
He's the player that tore the Goulburn Valley apart a few weeks ago over at Bendigo.
He's a magnificent footballer, is Hartney, in the air. When the ball hits the ground, just a shade slow on occasions today. His kick's directed across toward the centre diamond area, and we're going to see again the umpire come in to ball it up. Well, the game really is evening up now into a pretty good tussle. Looked like the Victorians early. Their smaller players were dominating. In the late part of the first quarter, WA got the edge, and now the game really evening up into a good tussle in great conditions here in Shepparton. There's the tap down. Victoria won it away. Brendan Hartney did well. Across that time toward Tony Beck, and Beck goes up toward the half-forward line. Can the Vics make something of this? They need to. They need a goal. Lenigan was running onto the ball. It didn't fall for him. Now it may. It's going to come wide. He's run right down Lenigan. He leaves it, though, for a teammate here in Terry Love, and Love doesn't miss too many on the snap, and Terry Love hasn't missed that one either. That was well done, Terry Love of Dalesford. He and Lenigan ran right down from the wing as the ball came through with the big work, and good work there in the middle too from the big fellow in Jeff McElwain. And Love's got his first goal of the day. He came on about 10 minutes ago onto the grandstand wing to replace Michael Rolfe, who was down to Kent, and he's done well on a couple of occasions, Love. And now Victoria goes to 5-7-37 and WA 7-2-44. We're 12 minutes into the second quarter.
A couple of those changes that made by Stewie Gull appear to have played off, particularly with Love. He's done quite well since coming on. Big Alistair Ford there finally gets the tap down, and it's Danny Craven, the sole representative from the Ovens and Murray League, who puts the ball up very nicely to his player in the Hando there, who's probably one of the Victorian Country team's best players, although did fade out a little in the last few minutes. Some of those earlier players for the Victorian Country side who were going so well have faded out, but may be coming back into the game now as Victoria gain ascendancy as we go through, but that kick was off direction. Bad luck for young David Hando. He's, I believe, tried out with a couple of league clubs too. But he's back playing in the North Central Football League now, and after that single score, we wait for the kick out or short pass from Western Australia. Doesn't look good because there's plenty of Victorian Country players there. Eventually, it is picked up by a Victorian boy and looking for Big Walsh. Can he take it? No, he can't. Almost picked up there by Lenigan. A kick off the ground by Murray, but the ball has been rushed through for a single score to the Victorian Country.
Well, the Victorians frittering away a few chances at the moment. 39 plays 44. That is the Ballarat think tank. Mike Patterson from the VCFL there, sitting next to Stewie Gull, but the kicks come out in the direction of that half-forward flank, and Tony Beck has his second kick, the interchange player, onto the ground. Oh, good grab. Yes, I'd pay it. The umpire agrees too, and it looks like Ken Murray that's brought that ball to ground. Now, Murray will have no problems whatsoever of turning around and getting the distance here. Accuracy is going to be the big question. If I was a betting man, I'd probably almost give you odds on that this one should go through for Kenny Murray.
He's had plenty of experience in this type of football.
They let you down, don't they?
They do that. He played against the Western Australians last year.
West Australian interchange bench being utilised at the moment. Let's have a look at Murray. Right foot drop punch on its way. Umpire doesn't move at all. Ken Murray's pinged the centre with that one. So that's their sixth. And it's Ken Murray's second for the afternoon. Off the ground for the West Australian side is Craig Patterson. And coming on is the big fellow in Kim Rogers. Rogers been doing a lot of the ruck work for them, just having a break there for that last 10 minutes.
Mentioning Ken Murray before, this is his home ground, of course. He plays for the Shepparton Football Club. He's the assistant coach here and has played for originally for the Lemnos Club and changed to Shepparton last year.
Well, there's the bounce in the centre now. Up they'll go with Rogers back on the ground. Fresh player for the WA side. Got it down to Pearce. And Pearce goes for a long driving kick up looking for Ditchburn. And the WA captain's come out to take his first strong mark of the day. It was a good mark that time from Ditchburn. Of course, viewers would remember Ditchburn at least 2 years, maybe a little more with the Carlton Football Club. Was never a real regular in the side. Just not quite big enough to be a strong full forward in VFL football. But marked that beautifully for the WA countryside. He's the captain. They'll be looking for him here to kick a major, but he appears just offline for mine, and the 1 point only.
All right, Don Kilgour's down on the boundary line. We had problems getting to him a little bit earlier on. We'll have a bit of, hopefully, a bit better luck this time. Don, what's happening? No, unfortunately, we've still got a few problems down there, but we'll do our best. We'll get down to you at some stage of the afternoon, Don. Play underway again. Centre wing. 45 plays 45. An interesting tussle at the moment. Ball out on that far side of the ground. Terry Love it was. Diving himself onto the ball. Umpires pull a free kick out here, and it might go in the direction of Love. We'll wait and see what's going to happen, or is it... I don't think it is Craven, actually. And it is. In towards centre half forward. But West Australia, this time off the hands of Hooper. And Hooper in that last line of defence across that half-back line has taken this good strong mark. No one much to give it to, though. A big kick. Kicking well, the West Australians, towards centre wing. Across the top was forward. Couldn't bring it to the ground. West Australia, they have the crummers underneath the pack, which they've done all day. It's a wobbly old kick. That's the big B in on this occasion. The handball's on. Across here to Lenigan. Lenigan's looking across here to McElwain. He's upended. Now a chance. Lewis, West Australia. The handball's on. Oh, let go on that occasion by Come Again. But he's lived up to his name. He's back underneath. Shuffled forward from Kemp. Lewis putting pressure here on Love. Plenty of weight being used. Scrambly football. Now plenty of weight here from Moyle. Tries to barge his way through. The umpire's called the free kick. Play on, he says. The little fellow picking it up there is Cleary. Cleary gets the ball moving quickly. That's what is coming undone, or bringing the Victorian side undone at the moment. And taking the mark up there in that forward zone for them is Perham. Now, Perham's got one goal to his credit. That came in the first quarter. He's 35 metres out directly in front. Scores locked together at the moment. We've travelled some 17.5 minutes of this second quarter. Let's see what he can do with this one. Oh, lazy sort of a style of kicking. Leans back on the ball, and unfortunately that one's told a sad tale for him because that's a behind. But at least they're in front by 1 point on the scoreboard. As Victoria bring the ball back into attack again. They're out here looking for the little fellow in Craven. Takes the mark. Hasn't travelled too far, but they have possession of it. Grandstand side. Good kick from the little fellow towards centre wing. Oh, using the weight, bring it to the ground, and Walsh slipped through the hands, but landed on the chest, and Walsh has taken the mark. He wants to get it moving quickly, and we'll find 50 metres. Good decision umpire. The player running across the player on the mark on that occasion. And this will bring the big fellow right down towards this 50-metre line. Now, let's see whether or not he fancies himself to turn. Now, the umpire's still running back. So he's now going to kick from about 48 metres from goal. That's the longest 50 I've seen for a long time on the Deakin Reserve. Fancies himself. Does Johnny Walsh? Let's have a look at the result. Puts it onto the boot in an awkward fashion, but it's going to just fall short. Murray in front, couldn't bring it to the ground. Defence being used and being held at the West Australian player, which is flung to the ground there. And the umpire has put a whistle on play. The player that was brought to the ground there was Len Murray. So we've got Murrays at either end of the ground. One for West Australia and one for the VCFL.
Kenny Murray playing on Lenny Murray.
Yeah, an interesting tussle. The big fellow goes up, taps it to the ground, Rogers, but it's going to beat all players and go over the line and out of bounds.
Well, very exciting stage of the game here. 18 minutes second quarter on the Six Network, the Tui's Challenge Cup. A lot of pride at stake here. The Vics won the inaugural game last year. The WA boys very keen to wrest back the title this afternoon. They're a point in front. There's the throw-in deep in Victoria's attacking zone. Chance for Walsh. He couldn't get his foot to the ball, and it's come to Glenn O'Loughlin now, who runs the ball out with a good hand pass to Lewis. And Lewis decides to go straight up the middle. Perfectly placed kick right into the centre of Deakin Reserve. And here's a strong mark taken by Lee Wright. Lee Wright comes from the South West League in the Western Australian country areas. And he's going to go back now and have a long, searching drop punt. Ditchburn will be the leaper. Almost got it from the back again. Perham was in there too. And eventually comes out where the Vic should be able to run this ball out now. They've got 2 or 3 players around the ball. And well done that time by Murray Whitcomb, who's been quiet in this quarter. Couldn't get the foot to the ball, though, and it falls now for Tom Pearce. He fires the hand pass across to, it may have been Ditchburn. I reckon Ditchburn's put this right through. That's a fine goal from the WA captain. Now, I couldn't see Ditchburn's number as he kicked. I only picked him on kicking action, and I fancy it was the WA captain who got it. There's the camera on him now, and the Western Australian side goes to 8-4-52 leading the Victorian Country League 6-9-45. The margin is 7 points. The ball's on its way back to the centre. Let's have a look at Ditchburn again there as he fires in toward the goal. It was a good running goal, that one. And, Rod, they've been a little bit hard to kick at that far end all day, even in the early Goulburn Valley game. The breeze seem to be swirling around down there.
Yes, it seems to be that the western end is the kicking end at this stage. However, the Wests are going through once again, and we'll see if they can make amends this time. But repelling that attack for the Victorian Country is Moyle, but, oh, gee, spoiled badly. By the way, I noticed Alistair Ford got a bad one in the back when Ditchburn went for it there, and I'm wondering whether Alistair might be a little bit ginger at the present time. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Oh, good football there. He got away from it eventually, did Brendan Hartney, but the Victorian Country repel this attack and move it forward over the centre wing and will probably go out of bounds. No, they've kept it in. It's a long way over there on that boundary line, and we see a free kick going to the Danny Craven from the Victorian Country, or dodges a couple of players. Good football, Craven, the boy from Wangaratta. Nobody can handle that, but it's Western Australia coming out. The Victorians pounce onto it. Big knock away from the WA into the hands there of Jeff Hooper, but he can't get his boot to the ball. Oh, Stacks on the mill. There's a push there, and it's going to go to young Hando, I fancy.
That was good work, Rod.
Oh, yes, he puts himself right in for the ball, this little boy, and he's a great little player. Sees the short pass, and it's Murray, and Murray, beautiful lead out from Ken Murray, the Centurion goal kicker in both Ballarat and Goulburn Valley leagues over the past few years, and Ken Murray has the chance to put his third score on the board, his third major for the Victorian Country, and they're at the moment 7 points behind, so can he put them to within 1 point of the Western Australian visitors? Usually a beautiful kick for goal, and it looks like on this occasion he has kicked it, yes. He's a great player, Ken Murray, isn't he? And you fellas would know him pretty well.
Well, that's his third goal, 2 in the quarter to Kenny Murray so far, and 1 in that first quarter. And that puts them just that little bit closer, Shane Healy. But a much better effort from the Victorian side. But again, I think their disposal is probably letting them down.
Yeah.
Have a look on replay. You can see the kicking style of Murray, as Rod Kilgour said before. Centurion goal kicker, of course, in the Ballarat Football League, and has represented Ballarat and Winfield, and has represented this particular league, the Goulburn Valley in Winfield again. Get back to you shortly. Centre of the ground. There's a chance for the Victorian side to go forward again, this time off the boot of Beck. A few touches in the centre, could have livened the Victorians up a little bit, but the defence of West Australia is doing well. Come again with the ball. Out here, the centre wing looking for Lewis. Plenty of weight being used. Odgers just pushed Lewis to one side. Picks up onto the left boot. Looks down there for Murray again as in front. Comes to the ground. There's a chance now. Hando for Victoria. Gets it across to the big fellow. Walsh comes charging through. Out of my way, but it's going to be West Australia that take it through. And it's Jeff Hooper who forces the ball through for another behind. So we see scores again locked together. So it's 52 apiece. But unfortunately, it's bad kicking from the Vcfl. 7-10 plays 8-4. We've travelled 23 minutes so far this quarter, and the kick-in has found young Slater, Peter Slater, for West Australia. It's centre-half back, true centre-half back position. Brings the ball out wide to centre wing, grandstand side. Good mark there to Kim Rogers. Rogers plays on quickly. Again, poor disposal. Looking for a teammate there just at the back of the diamond, and it was Lee Wright. Couldn't get boot to ball, but gets the handball. Great tackle on the West Australian there by the Victorian player. But very, very lackadaisy type of football being played at the moment as Brendan Hartney has got a chance. Here's Craven for Victoria, comes in, uses the body well, but leaves the ball behind. Picked up here by Kemp. Kemp's kick, a shocker. Looking in here for Come Again. Come Again's looking for the handball out wide to Lewis. It's going to put him under pressure, and Terry Love comes in for Victoria and takes it over the line and out of bounds. So there's plenty of weight being used at the moment. I just get the impression, Shane Healy, that perhaps players are looking at other players coming from different directions instead of having a look at that little bit of leather.
Yes, it's pretty tough out there at the moment. The game's evened up, as I said earlier, into a very, very good tussle.
Plenty of voices.
Well, here's Slater trying to burst his way through there now. He got it across to Kemp, but Kemp's kick is poorly placed and has been marked by Victoria's Odgers. Odgers kicks it toward the centre diamond area. Captain Lenigan came out, dropped the ball hot. Oh, dear. Well, it's okay. Umpire's got the last say. I'll say no more. Lenigan's got the free. He goes long and finds a teammate here, and the Vics are running with a big chance to kick a major from 45 metres. It's going to land in the square. Up goes the big fellow that time in Johnson. Couldn't pull it down. And a kick off the ground is going to see WA free. A little bit lucky to get away with it there. And Hooper's got the mark in the back pocket. He sends a short pass into Crognally. And Crognally's got it well between back pocket and half-back flank. They're playing the short game to try and get it away now as it comes to O'Loughlin. Good player, this guy. Feigned the hand pass, so he'll have to play on now and kicks it right down Terry Love's throat. Now Love's away. He's going to kick this from 55 metres out on the run. He'll put it long and high, hoping for a Victorian leaper. But they're outgunned down there with Kenny Murray and the boys. And this time it's Cooper who's going to bring it away for the WA side. He decides on the short one and finds Cleary at the true centre half-back position. Really good player, this fellow. He's got Tony Beck on the mark. He decides on the short ball again. Oh, geez, made it hard there for his teammate in Slater. Comes out to Rogers now, and Rogers gets the kick. And it's out here to the wing where Lewis is having a great duel with Love. It's a terrific duel out here. Lewis got there first under plenty of pressure, as you saw. And the tackle there that time by Brad Nichols, the boy from Bell Park, was a ripper as Love came in to assist. And he threw Lewis over the boundary line.
The camera's right on action there at the moment. Centre wing, right in front of the grandstand. Love with the ball, couldn't get it. Tackles on. Plenty of weight being used. Stacks on the mill. West Australia desperate to try and get the ball forward, but the umpires put a whistle on play again. As Gary Hodges is just being pushed away. The little fella's having a bit of a dip at one another there. Young Don Crognali for the West Australian combination. 52 apiece. 25 and a half minutes of the quarter. Siren time not far away. Won't be a lot of time on. The handball's out from Nichols. Didn't travel far. In fact, probably put Hodges under a lot of pressure, but Hodges' kick is quick. It's down to that half-forward line. This gives the West a chance to defend. The handball's on. Comes out to come again. Come again to Slater. Slater. Inland. There's a little bit of weights being used back on that half-back flank, but the umpire's not falling for it. They're letting play go on as we find a mark taken here by Aaron Beaver. Been fairly quiet, Beaver. There's the ball now, looking for the lead, but it's a bad lead. It's gone the opposite way. In fact, the lead was all right. Yeah. I should correct myself there. The kick was a shocker, and it was his teammate he put under a lot of pressure there in Ditchburn. But the defence is there for Victoria, and the big fellow coming out there is Brendan Hartney. Gets it high and wide to that opposite side of the ground. All unattended at the moment. Victoria, plenty of weight being used also as McElwain has the ball, centre wing, opposite side. His kicks on to Whitcomb. Whitcomb across here to Craven. Now let's see what Craven can do with this one. Sells the hand pass, goes over the top. There's the big fellow coming in there. Walsh spins around into the square, but it's off the hands of the pack. In fact, it was off the hands of David Hendo on that occasion. But plenty of good football on that far side of the ground. But gee, they are a mile and a half away from us too. 53 playing 52.
It's a big ground here, Rob. You're quite right. And just 1 point the difference as the WA side prepare to kick out. Len Murray goes long and wide. Rogers was the target. The Vicks are there at the fall of the ball. The hand pass toward Lenigan wasn't a good one. In goes Craven. He got a shove. No free kick. Now the umpire's going to pay a free kick WA's way. And so the Western Australians are going to take this free kick from the back pocket area and drive the ball across the ground. The pass is a bad one. It's going to put Lewis under plenty of pressure here. A 2-on-2 situation. Nichols is the chaser for the Vicks, but Gogan is O'Loughlin to take the ball for WA, and he's found a teammate in Dean Kemp, who's had a good game on this wing. He decides on the short ball. Slater was the target there. Pearce came in too, but Hartney read it well. Got the ball, bad kick, but it found Murray. Murray hand passes to Lenigan. Lenigan's kick is smothered. He had a player running in Brad Nichols, who's come right down the wing, and now Nichols picks up and drives for goal, and it's going to fall over the line for one behind as the Vicks raced in to try and kick it through. So that takes the scoreboard in the 2 East Challenge here to the Victorian Country 7-12-54 and the WA Country 8-4-52. Just 2 points the difference, and we're deep in time on in the second quarter. WA have led for most of this term, but the Vicks have just taken the lead with a good, steady bit of attacking in the last 10 minutes, and they might mark after the kick-out. Now the ball's thumped away from Big McElwain that time. Plenty of players around the ball for the Vicks, and it's going to be a little dangerous. Craven, who can have a running snap for goal here, right on the siren. And what does the umpire say? Just offline. And are they going to pay that score? Yes, they are. So 1 point on the bill for Victoria gives them a 3-point lead at the long break here in the 2 East Challenge. See the boys coming off the ground. There's Craven, the boy who kicked that last behind. Had a good game too. 7-13, 55 Victorian Country, leading WA Country 8-4-52. We're going to take a half-time break, Rob, and come back with some talk from Don Kilgour and also some thoughts on our better players in this very exciting game here at the Deakin Reserve in Shepparton, the 2 East Challenge Cup for 1988 on the 6 Network.
Welcome back to the Deakin Reserve, the 2 East Challenge for 1988. This time it's West Australia's turn to come across to Victoria and play the Big B. Last year, Victoria went across to West Australia. They came home with a prize, but this year the West Australians look like they are going to serve it right up to the Victorians. Don Kilgour is down on ground level. Don, we've been struggling to get to you all day, old son, but amongst all the music down there, can you tell us what's been happening?
Yes, thank you, Rob. Well, we're back to a cable microphone, and it's nice to see we're coming through. Things are pretty good in the Western Australian rooms. I've just come out of the Western Australian rooms speaking to their team manager, and if you can hear me above the Wong brothers, they're making 3 changes here on the ground at half-time, with Doyle, Crook and Hanson all coming onto the ground, 3 of their interchange players, replacing Marsden, Murray and Comaghan. So those 3 players will be coming off the ground. But Western Australia are pretty pleased with the way they've been going. They expected Victoria to serve it up to them a little bit more than they have, and I think that they're quite surprised at this stage that they're in a position where they can really use their half-time as a springboard for attack. And I think that we're going to see the Western Australian side come out and really throw everything at this Victorian side at half-time. So we'll look forward to it in the 3rd quarter, boys.
All right, thank you very much, Don, and we'll get down to you, hopefully, fingers crossed, a little bit more often throughout the day. Having a look through some of the goal kickers, perhaps, Rod, on both sides. Perhaps you might like to start off with the West Australian side.
Yes, so far we have Lee Wright, who has been playing at centre-half forward, and he's the player I did mention earlier. He looked as though he was going to be a real handful for Graham Moyle. Moyle is a very mean customer. I saw him in the rooms before the game, and I wouldn't like to play against him. But as we mentioned, perhaps lacking a little bit in the way of pace, but he's been playing pretty well. He has 2. Brett Marsden, who flashed into the game particularly in the second quarter, has 2, 1 each to or Ditchburn 2. Steve Perham has 1, Lachlan 1, and Andrew Crook has 1. And for the VCFL team, the leading goal kicker at the present time is Ken Murray, as I mentioned earlier, playing on his home ground here at Deakin Reserve Shepparton. He has 3. Chris Stacey has 2. A little bit surprised to see him taken off the ground, but however, he may have had an injury. Jeff McElwain has 2, and Terry Love, who came on the ground adding a little bit of a bite for the forward line for the Victorian side, he has 1 as well. So the goal kickers up to this stage at half-time, and 7-13 to 8 goals for. As if you've just joined us here, the Victorians are 3 points ahead. They were 1 point behind at quarter time. We saw a very even first quarter with 1 point to the Western Australians, and perhaps Victoria, as Rob said earlier, maybe a little bit lucky to be in that same position because there was a few opportunities wasted. But 7-13, 55, 3 points to the good of Western Australia, 8-4, 52, and it looks really set for a crackerjack second half.
Well, both sides this year being coached, the West Australians being coached by Rob Howan, who's a non-playing coach, comparatively young age. As we have a look through our profile on him at 29 years of age, he's in his 6th season of coaching, and they say that he's a deep-thinking, quietly spoken coach. You had a chat with him, Shane Healy. There wasn't a great air of confidence about him, although he was the sort of guy that wasn't going to tell you too much, but a very, I don't know how I could describe him, I suppose comparing him to Stuart Gull. Stuart, I don't think I've seen as nervous as I have in a long, long time. You can see him on the screen at the moment there, the big V of the first onto the ground. Getting back to Robbie Howan, he was a pretty promising teenager, or football in his teenage years, and over in West Australia at the moment, he's pretty well respected.
Oh, yes, he certainly is. He took the Great Northern League to the country championships up there last year, and was telling me that having done that, he then is the first chosen to be the coach of the Western Australian country side. And I suppose introverted would be about the best way you could describe Rob. And he certainly knew he had a big task here today. And I suppose he knows deep down that if his players can click on the day, then he's got a big show. But I suppose also he knew he was coming over as a rank underdog, with his side having been beaten last year at home. So to come over here would be all that much harder. And he probably wasn't going to give too much away for that reason. But on the other side of the fence, I agree with you about Stewie Gull. He was incredibly nervous down there and has been up and down like a yo-yo all day from the coach's box. And I'd say Stewie would certainly be serving it up to the boys, and I think we're going down to Don, are we, Rob?
Yes, Don's got some more information down there for us at the moment. Down on ground level, Donny Kilgour amongst the noise down there about band.
Thank you, Rob. More moves in the draft board from the Victorian boys. Stewie Gull and the boys have really changed the side around. What we're going to see is Stacey come onto the ground to go into the centre, and Beck's going to full forward. Murray has gone to centre half forward, so Kenny Murray line up at centre half forward. Walsh goes into the forward pocket, and Chris Martin, the boy from Seymour, goes to the half-back flank. So Johnston is the one player that leaves the ground. Johnson is off, and Stacey comes on. Plenty of moves in the Victorian circle, Shane.
Now, Don, I've got a question for you about Stacey. Were you able to work out why he went off in the first place? Because we felt he played a fine first quarter.
There didn't seem to be any injury problems. I don't know why they gave him a run. He's certainly not injured because obviously he's back on now.
Okay, well, that's interesting news. Could you pick a reason for team balance, Rod, why Stacey might have gone off?
No, I couldn't, because he was giving quite a bit of drive from the centre. Although not absolutely dominating, he was playing a very serviceable game, and there were probably 4 or 5 Victorians that I could have taken off before him. Oh, interesting that Johnston, I think, has been a bit of a disappointment today, fellas. I'll throw that in your area. Shane, what do you think?
Okay, I tend to agree, actually, Rod. I think he's been disappointing, Johnson. I've had a couple of disappointments, the Vicks. I don't think Ford's been as dominating, Rob, as what I might have expected from the big Ballarat boy.
Yeah, he's had a lot of touches, in my opinion, having a look at it, Rod. He's been there at the fall of the ball. In fact, I believe that probably Ford is playing the true ruckman's game, actually, because in actual fact, as we see the West Australians coming onto the ground at the moment, but when the ball has come out of the centre and gone across that half-forward line, he's been floating across the half-back line there, using it as a wall of defence in that last line of defence. And, there's not too many ruckmen that are prepared to cover the whole area of the ground, actually. And whereas Shane might be a little bit critical of him, I don't think he's been doing too bad a job.
He's probably been more value there than in the ruck, to be honest, and I would agree, perhaps, as a true ruckman, he hasn't really been dominating as much as I would have expected. I'm a Footscray fan myself, and I've always admired Alistair Ford, but perhaps not doing the job as I would have liked.
Well, he's had the likes of Johnny Walsh and these fellows that have been capable and able to turn around and take the load off him.
Well, I was about to mention Walsh because he has played a pretty serviceable game. He's been there mixing it in amongst the packs, Big Walsh particularly. Hasn't taken a heap of marks, but he's always been there, and he's a pretty solid performer.
I think we should give a few of the Western Australians a bit of a pat in the back, because they've had some pretty good players, fellows. Glenn O'Loughlin's done a good job, the vice-captain of the side, been very, very busy. The boy Lewis, Clayton Lewis, Chris Lewis's brother's been a good player around the ground. Len Murray and also Jeff Hooper in defence have had plenty of work to do. Len's playing on Ken Murray, who's probably got the edge, but there's been times when Len's had 2 to beat and has been able to thump the ball through. Thought Don Crognali was probably their best player in the first half. Little busy beaver, isn't he? He gets around the ground, he's got tons of pace. He's been a good player for them. And I also had the impression that Dean Kemp had held up his wing very well. In fact, he had the honour of having Rolfe, a very classy player from Castlemaine, moved off him. And when Love came on, although Love did some good things, Kemp remained right in the game, and he and Cleary have been 2 players who've been able to drive that ball into that WA forward line time and time again. There's not much between these sides. I think it's going to be a clinker of a finish.
Well, 55 playing 52. Umpires in the centre of the ground about to begin the second half of this 1988 Tooheys Challenge. If you've just joined us, the Victorian Country Football League holds sway by 3 behinds. They lead 7-13-55 to the West Australian Country Football League 8-4-52.
And Rod Kilgour and I are having a little bit of trouble holding Rob Gaylard down in the box here with that rocky music going. He's starting to really get pumped up here. He can smell the liniments. So just stay there, Rob. We need you for the rest of the game, my boy.
All right, the umpire with the ball back in the centre of the ground for this second half to get underway. In there to do the ruck work, big Alistair Ford for the VCFL. His opposite number 27, Kim Rogers for the West Australian Football League. Ford gets the ball to the ground, weight being used. Bounded out there was David Hando out to one side. Stacks on the mill. Players with their arms in the air as if to say, umpire, he's got possession of it. Why isn't he getting rid of it? The umpire lets play go on. Now the whistle blows. And we have a whistle on players. We find Brad Nichols coming there to put a tackle on the West Australian opponent there in Peter Slater. So, a fiery opening so far for this second quarter. The runners being utilised very quickly. Stuart Gull has Alan Thompson onto the ground. Of course, very well known through the Hampden League, and of course an ex-Fitzroy star, Tomo, helping the Big V, or trying to help the Big V towards victory. 55-52. Perhaps we better start the clock so that we know how we're going for time. The big fellow going up there, Kim Rogers, for the West Australian side. Very scrambly at the moment, Shane. It's almost reminiscent of the first quarter of the Nerves.
I think so, and I think both sides must realise that this first 10 minutes in this third term, if either one can gain a break to gain a little bit of ascendancy, might just send them on to a really good win in this Tooheys Challenge Cup. And I wouldn't like to be predicting at this stage just which way this game will go. Again, it's almost volleyball out there. Eventually, little Crognali gets a kick up into the forward line for WA. Well, nearly a strong mark to the west side there, but good defence by Victoria as Francis Burke kept the ball on the ground. It spills across here now toward the big fellow in Chris Martin from Seymour. He's got some size, and he kicks toward the boundary, and we've seen it go over for a throw in.
Young Martin, is that the young fellow that I think played Teal Cup last week?
Yes, he did. He comes from Seymour, only a young boy, a lot of size about him. Very, very impressive player.
Well, that's the youth that's in this side. Young Chris Martin, the Teal Cup, of course, the schoolboys competition. He's out here mixing mixing it with the big fellows, and I dare say there'll be a few talent scouts here this afternoon having a look at some of these players.
And I'd say they'd like what they've seen too. And there's Hartney, ex-Carlton player, now with Sandhurst in the Bendigo League, clearing the ball away up toward the half-back flank. On the scoreboard side, the umpire's picked out a free kick here, though. And it's going to go to Clayton Lewis, brother of the skillful Chris of West Coast Eagles fame. And Clayton Lewis drives toward his captain in Ditchburn. Oh, there's a great mark to Perham. And I said at half-time, this fellow might just be the difference up there on that forward line. He and Ditchburn have both threatened at times to be very dangerous. They both flew for that ball. And Perham has marked. He's got one, going for number 2. He would be 45 metres from goal, 45-degree angle to the western or city end. And it's held up. Ditchburn got a high. Big Pack got a high. Now a kick off the ground would see a WA goal here. They're fighting hard. In true rugby parlance, it's almost like a scrub in there. About 12 players around the ball. And we're going to see a ball up in the goal square. And an early goal here to WA in the third quarter would arrest back the lead for them. It's already changed about 5 times in this game. Up they go, and the Vic defenders try to tap it through and do so. They're successful in doing that. So Victorian Country go to 7-14-56. And the WA Country side 8-4-52. Now go to 8-5-53. Victoria remains 7-13-55, just checking that score. And after the kick-in, up went big David Butterford, the Ballarat player, on the ground now. He was injured for the Ballarat League against Wimmera last Sunday and has bounced
this
back
has
well.
been a remarkable recovery. Butterford onto the ground. When I saw him on last Saturday night, he couldn't even put his foot to the ground.
It was incredible, Rob.
You don't think that may be the reason why he was an interchange player?
A possibility, but gee whiz, he doesn't look too bad out there. Have a good look at him, because he, although a little bit ginger maybe on the left foot, and that's where
that's what that magic spray can do, though, Shane.
Well, we've got a WA player with a chance here. It's Donny Crognally again, the boy from the Southwest League. A little chip pass which barely went 10 metres has landed in his lap, and he's having a shot now from 45 on the boundary. It's going to be just touched on the way through. Now a strong mark way down there deep in defence by the big fellow again, and that time it was Alistair Ford. Rob said he's doing well around the ground, and probably that's indicative of the work he's doing. He's found Brad Nichols with a nice pass, and the hand pass on toward Terry Love was good play. Love's kick goes up toward the half-forward line. Lenigan's in there. He's wrestling there with a WA player in Mick Cleary, or is it Noel Bairstow in there? It's Bairstow. But the umpire says, no, give it to me. I'm going to put it to ground. Now on the half-forward line for the Victorian Countryside. Play still out there on that far scoreboard side of the ground. A little bit hard to pick up out there. There's the big fellow Rogers going up and getting it down well to Crook. And Crook goes down toward the wing where Cleary's chipped in to take a good mark for the WA side.
Cop one.
He did cop one, Rod Kilgour. He picked that up very quickly. And there's the long driving kick that time down the field by Kemp, down toward that full forward line area. Out comes Ditchburn. Can he pick it up? It goes toward the boundary line. Vicks have got numbers. Hartney got the kick. But the boundary umpire had last say and said, fellows, it went over for a throw-in. And I'm going to put it back into play about 15 metres around from the WA goals with the Vicks up by 2 points.
Don't the Western Australians keep that forward line open, fellas?
I have done that. And, of course, with Ditchburn and Perham such good marks, that's the obvious way to go.
Well, they're moving the ball into their forward line very, very quickly. They have it down there at the moment. Let's see what they can do with it, whether they can capitalise on it. But the defence is good for Victoria. The handball out off the big hands there of Chris Martin. We were talking about him a little bit earlier on to Brendan Hartney. He's in trouble. Hartney's back to Martin. Martin's handball's intercepted, but they're struggling, but they still have possession of it. Big Dobson with the ball. Gets it across here to teammate in Brendan Hartney again, and they swing that ball to the opposite side of the ground now. But I think it's going to be players over the line and out of bounds as Brad Nichols casually strolls in and takes the ball over the line.
He's been pretty busy since he came on. Nichols had quite a few possessions.
Okay, the ball is on the far side of the ground, or city side, let's say, here at the Deakin Reserve. Underway again. We've travelled 5 minutes into this third quarter, and a vital third quarter. Ken Murray well down from full forward. Has 3 goals to his credit. He's not going to get too many from out there, but he's going to set up the running play. Takes the handball back. Ken Murray's offloaded after he gets rid of it. The umpire says play on, and there's a good mark taken by Terry Love out there. He wants to get it moving quickly. Gets it across to Butterfin. Now here's a chance for Butterfin. The Ballarat player to turn around and get the kick inboard. It was a shocking kick, but Mick Lenehan was just waiting inside that 50-metre line and has taken the mark some 45 metres out from goal. Now, Michael Lenehan on your screen, number 19, stamped between his shoulder blades, as we see an interchange for Victoria happening. It looks like it could be Francis Burkoff as Lenehan comes in to take his kick. Let's have a look at it. He's well within scoring range. Has he got the accuracy? We'll wait and have a look now. It's offline. So the Big V now move on to 7-14-56, and they are still leading the West Australian Football League 8-5-53.
Hogarth on and Francisburg off, and Hogarth going to a back pocket. Give them a little bit more pace down there in defence, Rod.
Now, yes, indeed they will. The Western Australians hoping to go forward through this, sorting out from the full-back position or Victorian player going in very, very hard. And the umpire says, I'll have it, boys, as that player had the ball held to him. And the umpire will ball it up almost in the centre of the ground. 3 points the difference. 5 minutes into the third quarter of this big Tooheys Cup game between the Victorian and Western Australian country representative sides. Western Australia go forward from that ball up and counter, and a couple of Victorian players went high but couldn't mark the ball. Going in hard was the boy from Ballarat in David Butterfant, but the umpire sees a ball up again and he'll untangle the players. And he will elect to bounce it down.
Interesting, Rod, to have a look at play so far in this quarter, and also the latter part of that second quarter has been on that opposite side of the ground.
Yes, I don't know whether the tricky wind conditions here have made the difference, but I couldn't be sure, but it may have made some difference. In the meantime, Victorian come out, and gee, this player's played well since he's come on in. Terry Love favours the short pass, which is a shocker looking for Murray. He's been bundled out of the way, and we'll see the free kick go to the boy who's kicked 3 goals so far for the Victorian countryside, and he puts it right in there looking for... it wasn't Murray, that was Murray who marked the ball, and I think it must have been Big McElwain who came out from the forward pocket before, and he's found his full forward in Ken Murray, who's kicked 3, as we mentioned, has the chance to put his 4th on the board, and this could be a good opportunity for Victoria to break away from the West, but by gee, they're terriers, these boys. The Western Australian seems to come back every time that Victoria go ahead. Ken Murray, very deliberate player. Let's wait on, the umpire says, offline. Well, Victoria's now kicked 15 points as against the Western Australia's 5. I wonder whether if they lose this game they can
22 scoring shots to 13. It's not good football, Shane Healy.
To ill-directed kicking.
I go along with you, Rod, and Robin, there's a strong mark to Rogers after the kick-out. He played on with a handball onto Crook, and now it comes wide. Chance here now for WA to get the ball moving through a new player on the ground in Clint Hansen. Just looked a shade slow for mine as Crook goes into support once again. Umpire's found a free kick this time, and he earned that one, the Eastern District's boy, Andrew Crook. But he's got the ball on the half-back flank on the grandstand side. He goes down toward the wing position. Strong mark taken by Chris Martin. I like the look of this kid. He goes across toward Craven, who's running as always. Goes wide to Lenigan. Lenigan's spoilt there. Lewis goes in to do some good supporting work. Little kick off the ground by Crognali. Didn't go too far, but WA have got numbers at the ball and will bring it away with a long kick. Oh, this is loose. Hartney very loose there, and an easy mark taken by Glenn O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin will kick from a 50. He'll be looking for either Big Wright down there or Ditchburn, who's led right up the ground and now had to go all the way back. And O'Loughlin says, no, I'm going to have a shot.
Interesting tussle down there. Have a look at Brendan Dobson. He's wearing Ditchburn like a glove at the moment.
Like a glove is the operative word. Absolutely tight as can be. O'Loughlin's a nice kick of the footy. Right foot drop punt. It's on the way. It might get home this, or is it off hands? Umpire says touched. Both hands went up for a moment. I thought he was going to say all clear, but touched on the line by those big Victorian defenders. There's the scoreboard in the Tooheys Challenge Cup on the 6 Network. Victorian Country 7:15:57. WA Country 8:6:54.
Approaching 10 minutes of this third quarter. Odgers takes the ball on half-back flank for Victoria. Gets it out wide. Finds a teammate. And it's Jeff McElwain. Been quiet so far in the game. But possessed of plenty of ability and plenty of skill. McElwain. His kick up towards past centre wing, but it'll be a free kick to Victoria and it'll go to Big John Walsh. Walsh should drive this down long. There's not too many moves up forward, although there's a couple of short ones on that half-forward flank. And he's plucked one out there, and it's gone here to Odgers, who's well down from that back pocket, and he's kicked the ball into the square. Oh, that's got to be a magnificent mark there to Hando. Hando's mark for mine. We'll wait and see what the umpire has to say, because I don't think it could have gone through.
I think the goal post may have been touched by the ball, the way the goal umpire was signalling.
Well, gee, it's not bad reflexes if that's the case. If he's plucked it back up off the goal post, it has too. He's given it as a behind, so it must have... well, I can't fathom that. The ball must have hit the post.
I'd say the ball and Love, or was it Hando, have hit the post almost together.
Yeah.
And, well, 1 point resulting again.
Well, it's either touched or a goal either way, so it's another behind that goes onto the scoreboard for the VCFL. Then into the centre of the ground. Now here's Terry Love. Left foot, high, swoops it out to that opposite side of the ground, looking there for little Danny Craven. Lewis overruns the ball, offloads his Victorian opponent there, and the free kick will go Victoria's way on that far side of the ground. And Don Kilgour is down on ground level with us. Don, what have you got to report?
Michael Rolfe's come onto the ground, replacing Murray Whitcomb, fellas. No injuries, just giving Rolfe a run. Of course, he's been on the bench for some time. And the Western Australians have also made a move, bringing on number 6 in Steve Perham for number 19 in Craig Patterson. 2 moves at this stage.
Don, I'll get you to keep your eyes on Gary Odgers down there. He's been moved up from that back pocket, has had about 3 possessions of the football in the last 90 seconds, and he was instrumental in getting that ball forward for Victoria. But we find Lewis now chipping in on centre wing for the West Australian side. Long kick of Lewis's, down there looking for Ditchburn, but the crummers at the back, I believe that he got a bit of a nudge out. I don't think it was Ditchburn, but it's the big fellow down there for Western Australia, and it could be Jeff Hooper. Got a bit of a nudge out. Hooper's going to kick from 48 metres. Only takes 2 steps, walks into the ball. It's not a bad try. It's going to fall short. The big arms go up there of Alistair Ford, it looks like, for mine. And big Alistair Ford has taken the mark. Umpire said you better go back and either kick over your mark or handball, because that's the new rule of football, Shane Healy. You've seen plenty of it down the VFL this year. So Alistair Ford comes back in, takes the left foot kick. That's better. But he doesn't find an opponent. He doesn't find a teammate, he finds an opponent, I should say. He's copped one for his corner on that far side of the ground. Looks like it could be Mike Cleary, or is it Dean Kemp? I think it's Dean Kemp, actually. 2 blonde-headed fellows, very, very much alike. Fancies himself too. He's going to kick from 46 metres out from goal. Let's have a look and see what young Kemp can do with this one. Holds up well, right into the square, but it's offline. And we find waiting at the back of the pack again, big Alistair Ford. Looks like Stewie Gull's going to use him as a resting ruckman down on that back line. 58 plays, 55. We've travelled 12.5 minutes of the third quarter.
And in that 12.5 minutes, no goals as yet. And here's a kick out that's gone out on the full. It was looking for Hartney, and it was touched out. It didn't actually carry over the line, but it's as good as out on the full, and it's going to be a resulting free kick going WA's way. Mick Cleary from the North Pilbara is going to put it up toward the goal square. They'll be looking for Perham or Ditchburn. Ditchburn got the hands to the ball. It spills out here where the Vics have got numbers to try and bring it away, and will do so. Craven, good handball. Across that time to Brendan Dobson, and Dobson goes wide. McElwain's the target. He's playing a good third quarter, this guy, and marks well in front of Doyle. Finds in the centre a teammate here all on his own in Butterford, who's been a good player since he came on. They're taking the long way home. They've gone wide to Terry Love, who's running off that wing, and Love tries to find Hando. Here's danger once this guy gets the ball. He's tackled. Feeds it off, though, toward Murray. Hand pass inboard was good to Stacey, and Stacey goes for home with the right foot. Could be marked on the line by the Vics here, or has it been touched through? He was touched through that time, and just 1 point as Steve Cooper came on the scene late. So that scoreboard indicates the Vics have kicked 4 behinds, and WA have kicked 3 in the third quarter. And it has the Vics in front by 3 points, now 4 after that last score. Well, it's going to be Craven to win the ball after the kick out and drive here toward the big fellow coming out in Johnny Walsh, who's had a quiet quarter. He's well tackled by O'Loughlin, and WA have got numbers to try and clear again and do so. The target would have been Cleary, but out came a very dangerous player when he's on the run in Michael Rolfe. His pass isn't a good one. Didn't give Hando too much of a chance. Vics were waiting at the back, but it just wouldn't bounce correctly for that player coming in there. And we're going to see another rush behind resulting. That takes VCFL to 7-18, WA 8-7.
5 points to the Vics for this quarter. Nobody seems to be able to put the ball through the centre of the sticks, and perhaps the next team to do so will gain the ascendancy, but it's still nip and tuck here at Deakin Reserve Shepparton for this Tooheys Cup match, as Andrew Crook for Western Australia finds his teammate in the centre of the ground, and they play on. Crook again with the ball. Up to centre half forward, looking for the big boy, and finds him too. Gee, that was good football from Western Australia. And it leaves Ditchburn, or was that Ditchburn? No, it was Wright, Lee Wright, the centre half forward, and he had a player right in the full forward line, but decided that he'd back his aim, and he's gone back for a kick around about 45 metres from goal. Has the big chance to put one on the board. The kick, and it looks pretty good too from here.
Oh, glorious.
And there it is, a beautiful kick. Lovely kick indeed, and that's his third goal. Great play from Lee Wright, the centre half forward for the Western Australian countryside. Geez, a big boy. Had a look at him in the rooms before the game, and look at the thighs on him. He's a great player, and he has really played very well today for the Western Australian country team. Here's the kick, very deliberate kick, very similar to Ken Murray, and a great kick of the football to take the Western Australian team on to 9 goals, 7-61 to the Victorian country. 7 goals, 18-60. 1 point the difference.
16 minutes gone of the quarter. Only 1 point separating them, as Rod Kilgour told you beforehand. Craven with the ball for Victoria. Gets it high. It's a chance now for the high marks. Across the top of the pack there was Ken Murray. Couldn't punch it to the ground. He's now going to move his way back up to the forward zone. This is where Victoria have been doing exceptionally well. Plenty of pressure being put on Craven out there, the little Victorian. And it's been forced over the line and out of bounds there by the West Australian across that far side, Noel Bairstow.
He's been a quiet achiever. He's been pretty tough on that half-back line.
We probably haven't given him a lot of credit, but whenever there's a West Australian player at the fall of the ball or underneath the pack, you'll often come up with Bairstow, the last one to hand the ball to the umpire. The boundary throw-in, right in front of the scoreboard, opposite side of the ground. Here's a chance now for West Australia through Tommy Pearce. Pearce's kick doesn't travel far. It's intercepted by a Victorian. The running players come up from the back. David Butterfin charges his way through the centre of the ground, looking there for Walsh.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, good mark taken there for West Australia by Hansen. The handball's on. They have now the running players out here on the corner of the square. Plenty of loose players for West Australia. It's Crognali. Crognali's kick, wanting to move it quickly down there to Ditchburn. He's bundled out of the way. And also in there for Victoria, for West Australia was Big Jeff Hooper. Plenty of weight being used by the Victorian backline at the moment, as there's still plenty of action happening down on the boundary line.
The change will be from the Victorian side, and that's Terry Love coming off and Francis Burke replacing him, so that's an interesting one.
Gee, that is interesting, John. I can't have that, but because I thought Terry Love was instrumental, basically, at the far side of the ground of getting Victoria to into access into the goal square. Here we go again, Victoria into attack. This time Stacey has a couple of goals to his credit. There's been plenty of moves around, as you heard before. Good tackle put on the West Australians there by Michael Rolfe for the Victorian side. Into the open spaces again. Charging through there is Paul Hogarty. Hogarty's kick, and it's kick for kick going back from one end of the square to the other is Hansen. The fresh player on the ground for the West Australian side, gets it out wide, finds the running player here in Crognali, who gets it moving quickly. Oh. But here's a chance for the little fellow in Craven, probably one of Victoria's best so far. And a good kick for a little fellow too, up there looking for Beck. It fell to the ground. It wasn't Beck, it was Hogarty by the look of it. But here's a chance now for Murray as he lumbers in towards the goal. I didn't see where that came off the boot, but it fell off the boot of Beck. I think it was Tony Beck, and Tony Beck has notched his first. And I said a little bit earlier on, without meaning to repeat myself, that I thought this fellow here, if he could fire, and having the experience that he's had, right, of being able to direct traffic out there for Victoria.
Well, I thought that was about the best passage of play we've seen this quarter. A great goal from that boy, as you can see. He screwed it around beautifully off his boot. He knew where the goals were all the time and made no mistake about it. A very, very nice goal indeed by the boy from Stall, of course, from the Wimmera League.
They'll be jumping in Stall, and here's Don Kilgore
actually,
jumping
I think
on the
he's changed to Matera, actually. But
Western Australians have made a move too with change there. Number 10 is coming onto the ground, Brett Marsden, replacing number 15, Mick Cleary. Just looking at the Victorian bench, fellas, they're somewhat frustrated at this stage. Stewie Gull standing up, he's yelling out at his players, and I think rather disappointed at their performance because they just can't forge ahead.
Well, 20 minutes into the third quarter, and it's still nip and tuck at the moment. There's only 5 points separating these two sides, and that's what we like. A good, tight tussle of football here in this Tooheys Challenge for 1988. Game still could go either way. The free kick here is going to Gary Odgers for the Victorian side. I almost said Ballarat, but that's where he's from. Odgers kicking towards the centre of the ground. Grabbing hold of a player with one hand is McElwain, trying to have a swib at it with the boot is another. Here's Craven. His kick smothered. Plenty of tight tackling going on at the moment. Stacks on the mill. Now the handballs come out from Kent into the open spaces. Too small. Crognali on that occasion. Punched forward by Victoria. Very scrambly football. Here's a chance for Love. Gets boot to ball. Finds teammate on the far side of the ground, and it's his captain in Mick Lenihan. Lenihan from 48 metres out should drive it in towards the square. He's going to get it moving quickly. Who's at the back of the pack? Oh! Well, Hando was up a mile at the back of the pack that I thought was going to take the grab, but in front it was the big long arms there of Johnny Walsh. So it could have gone either way. We might be able to catch it on replay later on, but gee, for mine, Hando had his name written all over it. But Johnny Walsh has got the size and the strength in front. The big John Walsh will kick from 30 metres out. 65-degree angle. Has a chance now to put the big V's ninth on the board. 8-18 at the moment. Is this their ninth? Comes in. Lumbers in. Goal umpire goes a little bit to one side, but that's straight enough for mine. That's good, the woodwork. So they now go on to 9-18-72. West Australian Football League at the moment still trailing. You heard Don Kilgore say before about Stuart Gull. You can see him there on your screen. And if you can lip read, good luck to you. You can probably know more about what's going on than what we can.
I tell you what, he's a character, Stewie Gull, one of the great characters of country football. And that's Victoria's biggest lead now for about an hour in this match. And they've gone on to an 11-point break, a handy one. We said fitness might have a fair bit to do with it at the half-time. Let's just have a look how well the Western Australians run out this third quarter. Could give us a very good idea about the future outcome of this match as the Vics through Craven attempt to win it out of the centre. Love, good handball, and they're away through Captain Lanigan. And Lanigan becoming pretty dominant. Long kick to fall forward. It goes to the back. Danger. Hando's got it. Hand passes inboard to Maryborough's McElwain. McElwain to the goal square. The tackle on Walsh was a beauty. And Lewis sees it through for one behind.
That pretty quick.
What else could he do?
I'll tell you what, that tackle on that boy Walsh was a critical one because he only had to turn around and kick a major, and they really made sure he couldn't get his foot to the ball.
Here's three-quarter time. Have a look at that scoreboard. 9-19.
It's incredible, isn't it? A lot of points are being kicked by the Victorians. They just don't seem to be able to find the big opening, but can they find it here as the kick goes right through? Yes, they found it. And that came right back there, I think, from Terry Love, was it?
The play came from Love, but I think you might find that it's come off the boot there of Hando.
Was
it Hando or Odgers that's going back?
Odgers. It was Gary Odgers. It was Gary Odgers in the end. By Joes, he came up from the half-back line. He obviously read the play beautifully, and he kicked that long goal for his first goal. Gary Odgers, first goal for the big game. He played very quietly early, Odgers, but he seems to have come into it, certainly in this quarter. And the Victorian country team go to 10 goals, 19 to 9 goals, 7. That could be a critical one, Rob Gaylard.
Certainly could be. Gary Odgers has been quiet, but the other players that are the dangerous ones, the ones with experience, a little bit of VFL experience that can come in and turn the tide. The kick's on. Here's a chance now for Victoria to go further ahead, and it's come off the boot of Hando on this occasion. That one straight through. That's their 11th. They go to 11-19-85, if my arithmetic is correct, to 9-7-61, and as quick as we say it, it's up there and you screen it wherever you may be watching through the Six Network. This is a great game of footy. Victoria now starting to get on top. We have a look on the replay. The kick is deliberate. Umpire signals all clear, and that's the Vcfl's 11th.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're getting it out of the centre now, and that's becoming a real bugbear for the Western Australian half-back line. They've got no chance at the moment when the ball's coming down the ground so quickly. Don Kilgour's back on the boundary line. Don, what have you got for us?
Well, Shane, the Victorian bench changed their mind. We gave you that move a couple of minutes ago because I'm standing next to the interchange steward, and they gave us that move that you couldn't believe, Rob Gaylard, with the swapping of Love for Burke. They've now changed their mind, so things stay as they are.
Okay.
Well, Terry Love's been dominant so far in the quarter. Mick Lenihan, the captain of the VCFL side, has now gone down to the half-back line, and he defends well from that half-back flank. Now the running side of Victoria goes forward. The long raking kick to centre half forward in front as Hando again couldn't bring it to the ground. And here we find trying to pick it up here is Lenihan again on that far side of the ground at half forward. Good tackle put on the player there, Clint Hansen. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. I think the free kick will go West Australia's way, and it will go to Hansen. And he's on that true half-back flank. Goes for the shorts inland or inboard, and it goes to Kim Rogers, the big fellow, the big ruckman for West Australia. Gets it moving quickly to that half-forward flank. And West Australia look good when they get the ball moving quickly, and they find Lee Wright on that half-forward flank. 3 goals to Wright's credit in the quarter. Drives it down there looking for Ditchburn. He couldn't pick it up. Onto the ground. Now here's a chance for West Australia, just fumbling a little bit. O'Loughlin underneath there trying to get the handball out. Now here's a chance for Slater. Turns around and goes bang from 50. Let's have a look at the accuracy. No, it's offline. Another behind. So they now move on to 9-8-62. And they're trailing the Victorian Country Footy League 11-19-85.
They needed a major there too, the West Aussies. The Vics have slipped away to a handy 4-goal break, 9-11 time here, and after the kick out, the mark's been taken by Hartney. He goes long with a good kick out that far wing, and the mark taken out here now by the big fellow in Chris Stacey from Koroit. He hand passes inboard, and it goes back now toward the Vics again, and they're keeping possession well on that far side as Hando comes a long way down the ground to take a good grab.
BOG for mine.
I'd like to have a look at his stats in this quarter.
Playing a great game, and he's found Big John Walsh, who's coming right into the game after a quiet first half of this third term. He's marked in front of Hansen, and Big John Walsh is going to kick from 55 metres out. He's out on the far boundary line, and he'll go pretty close to putting this right in the square where McElwain's waiting. There's Walsh, right foot drop punt. They fly in the square, punched away by the Western Australian defender in Cooper. It was Tony Beck from Stall down there trying to get the grab, but didn't have the bulk there, and it's gone over for a throw-in off the behind post. So you'll see a throw-in now, right near that Tui's 2.2 sign. There it goes. Beck's in there. The tap down should come the way of the West Aussies. There's goal jumpers everywhere. And Kim Rogers feeds out a good handball, and the double play side is away. You saw that player go down very hard after he got rid of the ball. But good handball has seen the West Aussies through Slater and O'Loughlin. Get it down toward the half-forward line. It's a poorly placed kick, though, and Hartney's taken an easy mark. Hartley's handball, not such a good one, but it lets the Victorians get the ball running again, and they're doing it well as they fire down toward their half-forward line. Stacey was the target. He's got 2 to beat, however. One of those players is Andrew Crook of the Western Australian side. I just get the feeling the West Aussies are looking just a little bit tired in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
I was just about to say the same thing. What surprised me, though, the big players for Victoria have found legs for some unknown reason, and they're starting to run all over the ground. They can sniff victory here at the dying stages of this third quarter. Play underway again. The handball's out off the hands here of O'Loughlin. Puts his big teammate Rogers under plenty of pressure, but here's a chance for them to go forward through Hansen. Hansen down to the half-forward flank. In front is Butterfant. Can't control it, and it goes over the line and out of bounds. Do you get the impression that perhaps the wheels might have fallen off the West Australian side at the moment?
I'm just wondering whether the fitness is taking over, and maybe it's been a continual pacey game here today, and I just wonder whether the Western Australian boys are perhaps fit enough. I think Victoria generally, their stage of fitness is probably a little more, and perhaps that league experience coming in with players like Odgers, who have had the league experience. Maybe this is the time when they show that they've been great players. That's why they were selected in league football. Let's face it, Victorian football's the greatest football in Australia, and these players who have had that experience, this is they can be counted when the chips are down.
You can tell where Rod Kilgour lives, can't you, eh? This is the greatest football here in Victoria. We saw Crognali over the line and out of bounds. I must admit, we'll have to agree with him, Shane, but we find big Alistair Ford here now for the VCFL on that true half-back flank. Inside 50 from that half-back flank, kicking up high. Good hands. Here we find another big player who's lifted his game in Walsh. Has he dropped the ball, or was he tackled after he got rid of it? The free kick's going to go Walsh's way, probably a little bit lucky, but he's got the leather. Now let's see what happens here. Walsh, right foot drop punch. He drops it to the boot awkwardly, but it's covered a country mile. We'll find a free kick that'll go the West Australian way here, and for mine it's got to go to Jeff Hooper. Now Jeff Hooper's almost on that half-back line. Right foot drop punt out here to centre wing. He's looking for his teammate in Kim Rogers. The big fellow is going to get the free kick anyhow, as we find a little altercation happening down here between Clint Hansen and Terry Love, and offering a little bit of assistance there at John Walsh. I wouldn't be arguing too much, young Hansen. Walsh is about 7 or 8 inches taller than you, and a man mountain for mine. There's the sign for three-quarter time. 11-19-85, a good quarter for the VCFL. They've fought their way back into this game, 9-8-62, and at the moment they are holding sway. On screen you saw there for that fleeting moment the coach of the West Australian Football League side. But first of all, I'll cross to you, Rod Kilgour, having a look, trying to sum it up, as we can see the West Australians looking pretty dejected on screen there, the coach and the runner. But how do you think Victoria got back into the game?
Well, it was their big players, as we mentioned earlier, who all of a sudden found legs. And this was probably indicative, and also some of the smaller players who'd been out of the game in the second quarter came into it, particularly Hando, who was very, very damaging up forward. But we'll summarise the game a little bit after the break. So we'll go back to the studio and come back and talk a little bit more about this big game at Deakin Reserve with the Tooheys Cup. Thanks, fellas.
Oh, yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the Deakin Reserve here at Shepparton. This afternoon on screen, the West Australian coach, or the coach of the West Australian Country Football League representative side here at Shepparton this afternoon in Rob Howan. He's trying to urge his players on. They're trailing at the moment by 23 points. If you just joined us against the VCFL in this 1988 Tooheys Challenge, the two representative sides of country football from probably the most furthest parts of Australia at the moment. And perhaps we might have a look at some of the scores quarter by quarter. There was only 1 point in it in the first quarter. Then we found 7-13-55 to 8-4-52, and we found that West Australia were 3 points down. But in that quarter, the VCFL really came back. They showed what they were made of. It was a very, very worried Stuart Gull at half-time. At one stage down there, Shane Healy, we saw the interchange bench being utilised, probably not to its best capacity. Players were to be brought off the ground, and to me at stages, players that were playing exceptionally well. Then all of a sudden they were left on there, which to me gave me the indication about things weren't going according to plan.
I think you're right, and I think really the Vics only got on top in that last 7 or 8 minutes of that third quarter, and Gull was a very, very worried man, I'd say, and still would be, because the West Aussies certainly aren't done for yet. I think we made a comment, each of us, late in the third quarter, that maybe fitness was beginning to tell. The Victorian camp just breaking up there now as I speak. And we'll get down and hear what Don found out from the two coaches shortly. We made the comment about the fitness and the fact that possibly the Vics were getting on top. But then again, if you look back, the Vics have had 30 scoring shots to 17, which probably gives one the impression the ball spent more time in Victoria's half than it has, say, in WA's half. But, well, it's only 4 goals isn't a great deal in modern footy, and if the WA side can get their act together again, if Ditchburn and Perrin can start getting their hands around the ball up forward, and if they can keep the handos and these smaller players quiet, Lenigan, gee whiz, he hasn't had anyone go near him all day. He must have had 25 touches. Then I think the WA side's still in with a chance. But the Vics have got the edge, and they'll probably go on from here.
Well, 85 playing 62. Both camps have broken up at the moment, and this large crowd starting to disperse off the ground. Don Kilgour was down there. I don't know who or which camp he was actually listening to, but we'll find out very, very shortly.
Stewie Gull was the fellow we were listening to over in the Victorian camp, and Stewie, as I said earlier, the Victorian boys a little bit frustrated, but certainly feeling better after the last couple of minutes in that quarter. But Stewie has told the boys that the Western Australians are stopping, and the Victorian boys are not contesting enough. He wants them to work harder, and for this quarter, short passes are definitely out. No short passes, just keep pushing the ball up towards goal, and he can see a victory coming up. So that's the way Stewie Gull sees it at this stage at three-quarter time.
Thanks very much, Don. Well, let's go to Rod Kilgour now, the younger brother, by half an hour, they tell me. But, Rod, we were talking a little bit about that beforehand. That's basically what was bringing Victoria undone in that early first quarter.
Yes, it was, yes. Too much fiddling around, particularly on the forward line, and they've gone for the big, longer kicks, and some of those big fellas who can really punch the ball a long way with their kicks, that's what they've been doing, and probably big Johnny Walsh particularly.
OK, Shane Healy, can you see West Australia getting back into the game?
Well, I was saying a moment ago, I think if the ball runs their way and if they can start just keeping these smaller players of Victoria a little bit quieter, Hando, Lenigan in particular, and possibly also in that centre area Beck, who was beginning to do quite well, then possibly the WA boys have got a chance. But the Vics, having established that lead, would certainly have to go into the final quarter of this 2 challenge as favourites to make it 2 wins in 2 years.
85 playing 62. The VCFL holding sway, but it's Slater for the West Australian side getting first possession of the ball after the bounce into the last quarter. Drives it up towards centre half forward. The kick comes out of the pack into the open spaces. Diving on it as Lewis tries to barge his way through, but the VCFL swoop on him as the ball comes out and the handball's on. Finds Hogarty. Hogarty's kick towards centre wing. He's out there looking for his teammate in Love. West Australia have possession of the ball. The handball's out, but it's a wobbly on one. And now we find Victoria going forward again. Love running up the ground on that far side. Is it Love or Hogarty again covering plenty of territory? The tackle's on, and he's been forced over the line and out of bounds as McLenaghan now comes up with the ball. Trying to tell the umpire that I was tackled before I actually had hands on it, but the free kick's gone West Australia's way. The ball on the far side of the ground, city side here of this Deakin Reserve. Underway again towards centre wing. Big arms go up there of Big Alistair Ford and has brought the ball to the ground again. Been probably a telling factor after half-time as Ford been dropping back into that back line, taking that big towering mark, or coming from behind. If you can't get both hands on it, as any good coach will tell you, you must punch the ball forward from that back line instead of trying to mark with the forwards. This time the mark has gone to West Australia, and it's the little fellow over there in O'Loughlin. I know Shane Healy's been a big rap for him throughout the day.
He's played a good game, O'Loughlin, a boy who's played a couple with the West Coast Eagles. This kick's not such a good one at all, and there's the big fellow again taking the mark, getting the hand pass quickly across to Rolfe. Rolfe goes long, and a chance there for a mark to the Victorian side. Up went Tony Beck. He couldn't hold on to it, but it's fed out now to Craven and on to Walsh, and this could be the first nail in the coffin if Walsh kicks correctly. And Walsh has put that right through the high little down there at the city or western end of the ground. John Walsh, the boy from Traralgon, has now got 2 for the day as we get a shot of the crowd there. Someone enjoying a nice quiet one. And it's 12-19 and 91 now, Victoria, leading Western Australia 9-8-62. And Walsh put that on the right foot beautifully. The goal umpire didn't move. He only went back and looked at it going over his head. And the Vics are now in front here by 29 points. And that's a pretty handy break at the 3-minute mark of the final quarter.
Well, that's Johnny Walsh's first goal so far in the game, Rod Kilgour. And, well, 2 actually.
Yes, he started off slowly, Rob, but he's played very, very well in the third quarter, and he's really coming into it there, as we see with the ball once again. Puts it over to Michael Rolfe, the boy who knows the Deakin Reserve pretty well. He won a Goulburn Valley League Thirds Best and Fairest 18 award here, and he goes forward looking for Lenigan, but the ball's forced over the boundary line, and we wait a throw in. Michael Lenigan, has played a very serviceable game. He's, in many occasions, he's grabbed that ball and taken it down the field today.
His disposal today hasn't been as exemplary as it usually is, but geez, had the ball a lot.
Yes, a bit like Brian Dixon, as they used to say. Couldn't kick, but gee, he got the ball 30 times a match. The ball from the boundary, and there's Lanigan as we speak. The disposal wasn't over good, but here's Danny Craven, has the chance. No, it's punched away by Slater, and Western Australia come out of defence again. Good football from Clint Hansen. A kick from Hansen over in front of the scoreboard wing off. There's only 2 of them there, and the Western Australian boy couldn't get his hands to it though, but eventually he does. Follows up very nicely, coming forward. Oh, there's a bit of a push there, but beautiful football there from Brendan Dobson. Sees the Victorian boys come forward once again. There's the kick over to the centre of the ground, and who's there? Chris Stacey, the boy from Koroit. And Stacey's kick on the right foot over there looking for his captain, but can't handle it though, and fine defensive football from Noel Bairstow. Sees the ball over back into the centre, and they're playing with it a little bit, Western Australia at the moment, but having difficulty getting it forward. The little fella Hando for mine best on the ground today. Can't handle the ball, but big Alistair Ford gets his boot to it. Nobody seems to be able to pick it up for the Vics. A player ridden to the ground there, but it's Glenn O'Loughlin, one of the better players for the Western Australian team, endeavouring to put the ball forward.
The West Australian side just seem to be struggling to keep their feet. Now, whether it's tiredness or not, I don't know. I wouldn't say that the ground is greasy, Doc.
No, I was just thinking that in this just first couple of minutes of the last quarter, the tempo of the game has slowed quite remarkably.
The umpire has the ball at centre-half forward for West Australia. A chance for them to go forward here off Marsden. It's his kick smothered. Victoria put the handball out, but it's intercepted here by Doyle. It is for West Australia. Now they bring the ball forward to centre-half forward, and chipping in and taking a nice mark there is Brendan Hartney. Serviceable. Game from Hartney. The handball's on. Out wide. Out to Hogarty. Been a good player so far in the early stages of this quarter. 5 minutes we've travelled. 91 playing 62. The Vcfl are holding sway here at the moment. The handball's on for West Australia off Hooper. Hooper gets the handball to a teammate, and they drive it inboard towards the edge of the 50-metre line, but a good mark taken by Brendan Hartney. Plenty of handball being used at the moment. Hartney's goes inboard again, and we find here Butterfant. And a remarkable recovery for this bloke to be on the ground, but Butterfant's kicks down here towards centre-half forward, and a good strong mark taken here for Victoria. They get it moving quickly, and a mark taken by Lenihan. Gee, that one would have knocked the tops off the daisies, but Lenihan plucked it up off the ground. Now he's 48, 47 metres out from goal. McLenihan, we'll see what sort of an accurate kick he is for goal. I don't think he has one for my record so far today. This could be his first. It's a beautiful kick, but it's offline, I think. Umpire agrees, and that's a point to the Vcfl, so they now go on to 92, playing 62, 30 points the difference. It's a goal. Well, I saw him put one flag up and one hand up against the post, so it's a goal. Let's cross down to the boundary line. John Kilgour has got more moves for us.
Yes, the Western Australians are bringing a bit of height and certainly strength back onto the ground, boys, because big Kim Rogers, number 27, has just come onto the ground and replacing Clint Hansen, number 9.
Well, we're all sitting stunned here at the moment for the goal umpire's decision. We saw it on replay there. It looks a little bit easier when you look at it the second time. But we're going to be Phil once for the day. Ball back in the centre of the ground. The big fellow in Rogers gets it out to a teammate wide. Here's Slater, trying hard to pick his legs up out of the ground. He gets out of it well, though. Dodges around, gets the handball, but only putting players under pressure further up the ground. Good tackle from Victoria. Love has it snatched from out of his hands. The big fellow there in forward makes way for his teammate there in Hando, and Hando gets the ball moving in towards the centre. Here's a chance for Hogarty again. Almost copped one too high for his corner, but bundled into the ground after it. Here's Butterfant, clever football, looking down there for a teammate, finding him too. And Odgers, he's well down from the back line. Here's a handball off the hands of Stacey, inland again. Gee, they're fiddling around with it. Back to Odgers. Odgers finds a gap. Now back to a teammate. Here's a chance from 45. Let's have a look at this one. That's got to be touched, or is there a mark on the line? We'll wait for the goal umpire. He signals it's touched. And the long arms went up there of Steve Cooper for the West Australian side. And Chris Stacey also being a dominant player in this quarter. The kick-out finds its way to the edge of the square. A good kick-out that time from the West Australians, but it falls to the ground, and the Vcfl have first possession of it. And it comes off Ken Murray's hands, down in towards the little fellow, and Graven has a snap. Is it going to swing back? It is, and another behind. So Victoria at the moment, Rod, doing plenty of attacking, but unfortunately it's not showing on the scoreboard.
No, that's true. They are looking forward each time they move the ball over the centre. They bring it forward, but at the moment, Murray's been held a little bit in this last quarter, but they're certainly, I believe, the fitness is telling for the Victorian side. That was a beautiful mark taken by Terry Love, and he's been one of Victoria's very best players since he came onto the ground into the second quarter, and he found the player that I mentioned has been a little bit quiet in Ken Murray, who's kicked 3 goals for the Victorian country and has a chance to put the 4th on the board. From this position, he's usually very accurate. He's around about 47, 48 metres out from goal. Very deliberately approaches the ball. Oh, the kick's not a bad one. It looks as though it's swinging across a little low. And this time, it is a point, Rob. And Ken Murray has now about 3 goals, 3 to his credit. And we wait for the Western Australians to put the ball back in.
Well, Victoria look like Shane at the moment. We've travelled almost 9 minutes into the last quarter, but Victoria look like making it 2 in a row. But here's Butterfin coming off the ground. And you wouldn't believe it, he's limping on that leg.
I'm not surprised. He's done a good job. He must have picked up 6 or 8 or 10 possessions whilst he was on the ground. And if you'd seen him at Horsham last week, there's no possible way you could have said he would have lined up here today. A fine effort from that fellow. Well, after the kick out, we've seen a bounce down and a big thump away going Victoria's way. It's going to come the way of Murray. He couldn't come out and get that one, though. And the West Aussies are going to clear this time. Greg Doyle, who came onto the ground at half-time, a poor kick. Who's reading it? Lenigan's reading it. Beautifully done. Puts in an up and under. Going to be pretty hard, this one, to mark, but he's marked it all right. And let's check who that is. It looked like Hartney all the way down the ground, but it couldn't have been Hartney. He's up on the half-back line. The pass has come across to McElwain. McElwain, the boy from Maryborough, onto the left foot. This is going to go pretty close. They might shepherd it through. Now it's off hands. And just the one behind.
How would Tony Beck be feeling down there at the moment? He's probably a little bit smaller than the backman down there, but being a full forward, he'd be relishing that out of the centre at the moment. I see him there trying to fly with the big fellows. Don Kilgour down on the boundary line. More changes, this time for the West Australian side. Looks like McCleary might be coming back on.
Actually, I was just going to tell you the gate takings today, fellas. $6,819 the crowd paid to see this game here this afternoon.
Fantastic. Well, almost $7,000. I'm sure the locals will be happy with that gate as the Vics drive into attack again. Down toward the true full forward position. Western Australia have got numbers and should be able to clear. Hand pass wasn't a particularly good one, but a kick off the ground lands the ball here with Pearce. He gets to the crossfield now toward a teammate in Hooper, who's running through the diamond. Goes long. Ditchburn or Perham will be the targets, but too big and too strong as Chris Martin played a good game and takes the mark and fires out the handball to Hogarth, who's away again. He goes wide to Love, who's had a picnic on the wing since he came on the ground. Young Kemper's coming off, and the boy Pearce or Cleary going back onto the ground. Now that kick found big McElwain, or Ford it was. He got it across field, and the Vicks bringing it down the ground with consummate ease now. Hogarth to the goal square, and there's that man that Robert Gaylard mentioned, the pride of Stawell or Murtoa or the Wimmera. That's Tony Beck. He's been a magnificent footballer in that area now over a decade or more. And Tony Beck is going to have a shot here for his 2nd goal of the day. It was a fine mark.
4 Toohey medals to Tony Beck, the best and fairest in the Wimmera Football League, and deserves his chance to turn around and represent the Victorian Country Football League here today.
Which he's done with aplomb.
Very handy little nudge there, I saw too, as he moved his player out. And a lovely goal from Tony Beck, and he shows the ability that he's had, and he's so very well thought of in that area, isn't
Educated, we call that little nudge, Rod. Educated, we call that. So well, Tony Beck turns round and puts his 2nd on the scoreboard. 14-23, 107. The West Australian Country Football League trailing 9-8-62, and it looks like back-to-back victories for the Vcfl here at the Deakin Reserve at Shepparton this afternoon.
I think the story is that since half-time, there's that goal going through again from Beck, quite an easy one. 7 goals, 10 to 1 goal 4 since half-time. Tells a bit of a story, I think, as the West Aussies try to win the ball out of the centre. In goes Cleary for them. Gone quiet since half-time. Did spend a little bit of time on the bench, but they've had a lot of good players in the first half, WA, but not too many goers since the long break, and that's been the story here at Deakin Reserve. The big crowd enjoyed a pretty high standard of footy, but now it's the Victorian countryside getting on top at the 13-minute mark of the final quarter. Up they go, and that's Big Rogers doing some heavy work. Fires out a very poor hand pass, really, which put his teammate Pearce under plenty of pressure, and the kick's gone right down the throat of the Vicks again, and they'll bring it away from that defensive area. A long kick out looking for McElwain on the grandstand wing. Hand pass from Lewis finds Slater, and Slater running through the diamond, driving to the true centre half forward, and that's a strong Western Australian mark up there at the true centre half forward position, taken by Ross Ditchburn. So the captain of the Western Australian side, he hails from Central Great Southern League in the Western Australian country areas. Played a number of seasons with Carlton. Lines up from 45 metres out directly in front. That's a fine kick from Ditchburn. Not too many have moved down there on the goal square, and that means that the West Aussies have got their first goal since midway through the 3rd quarter. It's been a long time between drinks for them. Ditchburn's got his 2nd of the afternoon, and on the Channel 6 scoreboard now. The famous Tui's Challenge Cup scoreboard sees Western Australian Country 10-8, 68, trailing Victorian Country 14-23, 107.
I don't want to sound negative about Ditchburn, but I've been a little bit disappointed in him. He's as a player of great ability. Maybe we're not giving enough kudos to Brendan Dobson, who's played him negatively and played him pretty well all day.
Well, we mentioned that a little bit earlier on. I think you've got to give credit to the likes of Dobson and also Hartney. But it's hard to say at the moment as we find a little fellow there in Marsden for West Australia almost had his head pulled off his shoulders, but he's going to take the free kick in the centre of the ground. But the back line for the VCFL have played pretty well all day. And talking of players playing well, there's Hartney now. But Love comes in, does his homework, butters up well and gets the ball out here to the open spaces of centre wing. Got plenty of speed, this fellow here in Rolfe. Gets the ball out here looking for his teammate who just can't quite pull it in. And the big fellow down there is Johnny Walsh. But he impresses me. Michael Rolfe has a ton of speed when he gets into those open spaces. Uses the ball well.
Yes, a classy footballer, Robert. He's made a big difference to the Castlemaine Football Club in the Bendigo League this year. They haven't won a premiership for 35 years down there, and I think they might do it this year.
14 minutes into the last quarter. It looks like, oh, that was the best throw you've ever seen in your life come from Slater. Umpire didn't see it. He's on the blind side, but the ball's going to be gone back here or brought back here. A free kick will go to Tommy Pearce. Now, Tommy Pearce, solid little fellow, is going to take the free kick almost on centre wing grandstand side.
And looks pretty tired to me.
I think he's got a few mates out there this afternoon, Shane. Good kick, though, from Pearce. Looking for his teammate in there in Hanson. Couldn't do so, but it's to ground level. Now, a chance for him to come back into attack again through Marsden. Left foot, looking for the pass. Who's he looking for up there? Ditchburn's underneath it. Couldn't do, or couldn't get hand or both hands to it anyhow. But he's the tackle is on. It was a good tackle that time. Come from Lee Wright, actually, I gave the credit to. Didn't give up. Wright's got another chance now. He gets it inland towards a teammate here in O'Loughlin. The little fellow blazes from 45, but it's offline. Yeah, Lee Wright, I got mixed up there with Ditchburn. And even though beaten for the ball, he didn't give up. He kept battling on and tackled his opposition player and brought to the ground.
I thought it was an excellent tackle and deserved a free, actually.
I just wonder whether the Vics have looked at the scoreboard and said, we've won this, boys, and they're just taking it a little bit easy at the moment.
Craven out here to Rolfe, into the back of his teammate there, but he's letting play go on. I would think it'd have to go back. Yes, the free kick is going to go back, and it's going to go here to number 16, Michael Rolfe. Yeah, we won't be able to see him use his speed here because he's going to be kicking from behind the man on the mark. Not too happy, Mick Cleary, the West Australian, on that occasion. Probably a little bit stiff too. The position didn't go the other way. The kick from Rolfe is good. Oh, good grab at the back of the pack there from Patterson. Patterson came off the interchange bench in the quarter. Gets it across to a teammate. Over the top this time of Cleary. The ball's going to go over the line and out of bounds. Right in front of our commentary position. 107 playing 69. 16 minutes gone of the last quarter.
Yes, it looks like Victoria should have this game parcelled up at the moment. I don't think that Western Australia can come back. I don't think that there's enough running in the legs of the Western Australian country boys. But there's a player who's been trying very hard, and that was Big Kim Rogers for Western Australia. And nobody seems to be able to pick the ball up but Danny Craven, who's played a great game from the Ovens and Murray player there, and McElwain can't handle it. Well, going through there was a couple of players pretty tough. Eventually Marsden, it's kicked down over centre half forward to his teammate on the half forward flank, who marks it very nicely, and that was Noel Bairstow. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was Perham, who's played a pretty serviceable game. He sees his teammate over there too, and Mick Cleary, who's been one of the better players for the Western Australian country side, on the half forward flank with a chance to put the Western Australia's 11th goal on the board. Not a bad looking kick. It swung back in. That was a decent sort of, if that was a cricket ball, it would be a double swinger. I think that was a great goal, and that was the 11th goal on the board for Western Australia. A belated return, but however, at this stage, I don't think they can come up. Stewie Gull yelling out there, making a couple of more changes, but I think he could be well satisfied with the way that the Victorian boys have done so far.
Well, Victoria, you can see that goal going through. Leg break, we'd call it, Shane Healy.
It was a great goal, that one. It really did. And the ball's been swinging the other way at the far end, so I just wonder if the breeze isn't swinging around. You're going to check a score there, Robbie. 14-23, 107 to 11-9, 75. Has the Vics in front by 32, and WA has won it away from the centre again. And Brendan Hartley marked it anyway after being held. He's a class footballer, this fellow. He's played a pretty serviceable game on that back line. Kick wasn't a good one to his Bendigo League teammate in Rolfe. Chipping in was Cleary, and Cleary's put it right down the throat of Perham. And the WA side running on pretty well in the latter stages of this match as Perham chips across the ground and finds
Can't see the value of something like that, though, Shane, to be quite honest. I mean, now he was inside 50. Now we're going to see his teammate kick outside it.
Well, Pearce sounds like a good Irishman with that sort of a name. And he's kicked it like an Irish Gaelic footballer too. Out of bounds on the full. Now it's bounced over. Just might have even been touched as it went over there. And we're going to see a throw in deep forward pocket for the Western Australian Country League, who are down by 32 points, trailing 11-9, 75 to 14-23, 107. The Vicks in front in the Tooheys 1988 Bicentenary Challenge. Here's a chance for Crognali. He's got a kick from an impossible angle. Don't tell me. Oh, that's a fantastic goal from Crognali. He kicked that from almost right on the behind post. And on the right foot, he snared it through the middle. We'll have a look at the replay in a moment, I hope, about that one. That was a beauty. And Crognali has been a good goer all day. Has got his first of the afternoon, and the Western Australian side fighting back here. As we take a look at the replay, he was right on the behind post. He would have run right into it if he'd gone another step further. And there's the two fingers going up. So WA to 12-9 now, 81. Trailing Victorian Country 14-23, 107. And the ball's back in the centre with Rogers tapping down to O'Loughlin. WA playing better in the last few moments. Oh, fine mark. Is it Perham again? Now it's Slater who got up that time. The boy with the beard out there. Looks like Gastev from the Eagles, this fellow. And Slater goes long. He'll be hoping for a WA mark. And it's not paid, but it might fall for them. Goal coming up. And was it Crognali again? I fancy it was. And WA have come back now to within only 20 points with the score 13-9-87. Crognali gets his second in a matter of 1 minute. And it's Victoria 14-23, 107. And he read that off the pack beautifully, Robert.
Yes, good goal there from Crognali. Rod, I was just going to say, we've probably got 10 minutes of football, 8 minutes of football left to go. We see Crognali snag that one through. You see the West Australians getting back into it.
Well, I was sitting here smugly saying Victoria had it wrapped up, and now I think I might have to eat my words if they continue on like this, and I think that the Victorian bench might be just a little bit concerned at the moment.
And I believe it's happening because they're beginning to get it out of the centre now, Rod, whereas the Vicks for a period there in the third quarter as we see Stewie goal. And at the back right-hand corner of the box there is Mark Patterson. He's the secretary of the Victorian Country Football League. Looks like he's taking stats for Stewie this afternoon. They'd have every reason just to be a little bit worried now because the WA boys have come right back hard, but they're getting it out of the centre. And gee, it makes a difference when you can get that one clear kick into your forward line. It puts so much pressure on the opposition defence.
Francis Berg back on the ground for the VCFL. Rob Howan on your screen from the West Australian camp there. A couple of smiles, a couple of dejected looks. But they're still not out of this game. We've got 7 or 8 minutes of play left. And this 1988 Tooheys Challenge, there'll be a little bit of it, I think, put away tonight after a few of these players look a little bit leg-weary. Here's the kick, Victoria into attack. And waiting down there, the little fellow in Craven. And the crowd underneath us comes alive. Must have his own cheer squad, little Danny Craven. He has a chance now to really sew this up for mine. I reckon this one, if he can steer it through, could break the West Australians. They had a bit of a sniff before. They thought they could go on with this. As the clock ticks away, let's see what Craven does with it. 30 metres out from goal. Right foot drop punch on its way. His Victorian teammates think it's good. So does the goal umpire. That's their 15-23. Now have gone to 113 to the West Australian Country Football League, 13-9-87.
The many Ovens and Murray fans watching this telecast this afternoon can be pretty proud of Danny Craven. Rob, he's played a great game and he's capped that one off. It was his first goal for the day, but he's been a very busy little player.
Actually, he has been a good player. Craven has had a few mates, though. That's why Victoria are on the scoreboard in the way they are. Although indirect kicking, 23 points. Sort of, if they well, they haven't lost the game, but if they did lose the game, you would turn around and put it down to that. Here's West Australia again into attack. They've got a sniff of it. He's done well, Marsden, too, in this quarter, but it's in that last line of defence. Victoria holding up well. Out to the open spaces is Lenihan. The captain of the VCFL side has a look. Good experience. Looking for someone. Beck's in front, but all taking up the back as Walsh. Look at the big fellow go. His confidence is up. He's had a bounce. Look from 45 metres, but it's offline. Oh, the big fellow there, as we see a little dog run onto the ground, chasing the boundary umpire. I hope he doesn't snap at the ankles. But, gee, that was good football there from Walsh. Beck came out, made position, and went straight across the top of him, and Walsh waiting there like a rover. Turned around and racing in a goal.
He showed some toe to the big fellow, and he's had a pretty good game, especially after half-time. Kicked 2 big ones. Cleary's going to make this kick out, and he's running inside the diamond. He'll traverse the diamond now. The long, searching drop punt. Lewis, held without the ball, surely. No free kick. Hartney takes it. And good play, Hartney, receiving the handball and bringing it wide to Michael Rolfe. And these are the conditions Rolf loves, when he can run down the wing. He sends a piercing drop punt toward the half-forward line. Nearly a WA mark. In for support goes Greg Doyle. He got a shove. No free kick. And the umpire says, throw it in. No, now he's going to pay a free kick.
Good decision too.
Well, I thought it was a bit of academy there myself. We'll beg to differ on that one.
I saw a pair of hands right on his butt. Give him a little edge across the line anyhow.
The free kicks to Bairstow. Played a good game. Sorry, Rod Kilgour.
I was just going to say, Brendan Hartney, he was a player. I was very critical of him early. I thought he was too slow, but the experience is showing, and he's playing very well in this last term.
He would have to be in Victoria's best 5, I think. He's played a magnificent game, Hartney. He hasn't done too much wrong, as Lenigan still running like a machine, drives it down to the half-forward line. The target down here is Kenny Murray. Murray goes back, goes bang, and this might just be offline. Gee, it carried some distance, that on the run. 50 metres, just put it onto his foot and went bang, did Murray. But this time he's just offline. And Victoria's scoreline doesn't read all that well. 15-25, 115. WA Country 13-9-87 as we see the kick out coming to the broadcast or grandstand side. They're not stopping the WA boys. There's little Don Crognali, the boy from the Southwest League in Western Australia. He takes the mark, drives down the wing. Up they go. That's a strong, good mark taken by Alistair Ford. And he's done as much as he's had to do today. I suppose that's the best way to describe it.
Does he remind you a little bit of a fellow called Don Disher?
He does,
yes,
actually.
He does, from Ballarat.
Okay, let's have a look at Ford's kick. It's down into their attacking zone to half-forward, or spun out of the pack beautifully there, Ken Murray. What's he done with it? It's come inboard again. Here's a chance now for McElwain to finish off the good work. McElwain's kick across to Love. Is it on his own? Terry Love has a look. Centre half-forward, nobody home. Danny Craven takes the mark as easy as you like. And Craven now has a chance to put his second goal on the board. His first came about 3 minutes ago. This is a chance for his second of the quarter. The Vcfl looking for their 16th. We'll just stay with Danny Craven for a moment and see whether or not he can notch up the Victorian 16th goal. Comes in, the right foot on its way, and that one straight through the woodwork. Let's go down to Don Kilgour.
The Western Australian boys have made a change. They've brought a bit of pace onto the ground. And, Dean Kemp from the Goldfields, and he's replaced number 17, Clayton Lewis. So it's Kemp from Lewis.
Thank you very much, Don.
I wonder who won the
a little
raffle.
bit of competition. I wonder who won the raffle, yeah. He hasn't got time to check his ticket anyhow, but play underway again, or just about to go underway again. Shane Healy, looks like as if the VCFL definitely this time have got back-to-back. We're now what we might term into red time, time on.
Just in at red time, Robert Gaillard. We have got a margin of 34 points going the way of the Vicks, and they are home here. There's no doubt about that. O'Loughlin wins the kick out of the centre, but straight down the throat of the Vicks again. And this time it's Brad Nichols going wide and finding a teammate in Michael Lenigan. They just won't go near Lenigan. And Lenigan gets his umpteenth kick long. The target will be Walsh, but it's a WA mark at the back, and a good one too. Taken this time by Aaron Beaver from the Ongerup League. And he goes wide. Don't you dare ask me where the Ongerup League is. Anyway, it's Victoria winning position again. Love, a short pass in, and he's found a teammate here. And it's a Victorian mark taken by Jeff McElwain, who's playing for Maryborough in the Ballarat League this year and having a pretty good season. Of course, Maryborough playing a big game this afternoon against Golden Point as the pass comes into David Hando, who's had a quiet last quarter but was certainly best on the ground for the first three and would have to be in your top couple of VCFL players in this win because he was there when the work had to be done in setting up the victory. Margin 34 points. Hando 25 metres out. Pretty acute angle. Right foot. He lays back. He's offline and a mark to WA on the goal line. A little bit lucky, I thought. Rogers over the top of Walsh. I thought both players had purchase on the ball, but the umpire was closer. And we're going to see big Kim Rogers, who comes from the Avon League, to kick up the half-back flank on the broadcast side. Nearly a good mark. A little bit of shoving in the pack anyway. Patterson's going to take it. Free kick to Patterson, who hasn't done enough for mine for his size. He's going to run around the Victorian captain, Lenigan, and then put a shocking kick in. McElwain gets it. Almost throws it across field here toward Gary Odgers. Odgers on well. The pass was to Stacey. Stacey can go to Murray. They're layer rising. Murray to Hando. Hando to Love, and Love kicked under pressure when he needn't have. There was 4 players who could have had a shot before him, and Love is offline for one behind. So Victorian Country in the Tooheys Challenge, 27 minutes last quarter, all leading 16-26, 1-2 to Western Australian Country, 13-9-87.
That was a big Western Australian kick right out to the diamond, but who was there but Love, who's played a magnificent game today. And also that little player in Danny Craven, hasn't he been a real terrier? So's that player. By gee, they've got some good players in the forward line now. There's no doubt about that, the Victorian Country, and we've in the last couple of minutes, the dying minutes of the game, but the Victorian boys are not standing on their laurels, and that's a very nice kick. It's going to go through, is it? It's going to be Yes, it's going to be a point, unfortunately, for the Victorian boys, but they've got it well parcelled up this game, and they move now on to 16 goals, 27, 123, to 13 goals, 9, 87. Only some probably 2 to 3 minutes of play left in this game.
Well, the kick out will be taken again as the player on the mark there, Tony Beck, was just a little bit too close. Technically, should that not be a kick further up the ground?
I'm not sure about that one, but anyway, it wasn't on this occasion, Ross.
That's what, I'm sorry to put you under pressure there, Shane.
You sure did.
West Australia put it out right in front of our commentary position. Underneath the ground, or underneath the pack there is Patterson. Rod Kilgour talk about him a little bit earlier on, but has come on and off the interchange bench throughout the day as we get into the dying stages of this game.
Well, I'll be talking about us at home now, all the armchair experts saying that Gaillard and Healy want to look up their rule book.
Oh, well, it makes it all interesting. West Australia have possession. The little fella, Crognali, and a couple of sniffs up in the goal square. He's now down on the half-back line. He got a couple, but here's a chance now play on. The ball would actually thrown out to him that time off the hands of Patterson, but he'll go back and take his kick, and it's O'Loughlin, Glenn O'Loughlin, the vice-captain of the West Australian team, about to play on. Sells the hand pass well. Patterson, they're going to muck it up. Now it comes out the back. They're lucky to get away with this. Comes off the boot of Big Kim Rogers, and they drive it up towards centre half forward. But here's Big Ford. 1, 2, 3, 4 grabs. Thank you. I'll have it. And the umpire pays the mark. And been a very, very reliable ruckman come backman this afternoon. His kick's long, high. Oh, gee, Hando got up before acceptances. The handball's on here. Now he elects to kick it down into the square. Murray racing back, or is it Beck? It went straight through Beck's arms. You don't do that too often, Tony Beck, but we'll let you have one mistake for the day. Here's the big fellow, Walsh, roving it like a little fellow. Comes back out to Rogers. The handball's on from Rogers. Back out to Hando. Hando has a look from 45. Thank you. That's a sealer for mine. And the Vcfl now put their 17th on the scoreboard. That makes the point score look a little bit better. 17-27, 130. And they are leading the West Australian Football League 13-9, 100. Oh, no, 13-9, 87. Actually, my arithmetic might be incorrect. It's 129 on your screen, not 130.
We'll let you off for 1 point, Robert
Gaillard.
It's late in the afternoon, and the margin now is a pretty handy 42 points as that goal came through. Almost too easy, that one from David Hando. And he has represented his magnificent North Central Football League with great distinction today. Played a great game as O'Loughlin wins it out of the centre. Been a busy player. He drives to Ditchburn at centre half forward. Hand pass comes across to Tommy Pearce, and Pearce goes long. This one's bounced the wrong way, and it took a little leg break, did it, in cricket parlance, and went the wrong way and through for the one behind. So that takes the WA side to 13-10-88 and Victoria 17-27. 1-2-9. They're going to look for on the kick out here. The big fellow out wide in McElwain. He couldn't hold the mark. It's 2-on-2 out there. The ball's going to spill to Terry Love at the back. He's got young Kemp on his tail. He feeds it out further, and good support forthcoming as the handball goes down the far wing. They will not go near Lenigan. He has not had a player within 20 metres of him all day. His kick was a bad one that time and fell down the throat of Crook, who got it across field that time to Hooper. And away go the WA side, up toward the half-forward line, coming out in front of Victoria to try and win it away. Love's doing some good work down there. Now, which way is he going to go? He's almost playing catch me if you can. Decides to go to his left foot now. Kicks it long. 2 WA players up against one another there. One of those was big Craig Patterson from the Eastern District League, and he's got the mark out there on the far side of the ground. He goes in short and finds Andrew Crook, and Crook will pierce the forward line. Full forward, up they go. Perham's up. Couldn't take the mark. Down on the ground was Francis Burke to bring it away, and Francis Burke is going to try and go across the ground as the siren goes. And that is a win to Victoria in the Tooheys Challenge Cup. There's the Victorian camp. We're going to take a break and be back here shortly at the Deakin Reserve in Shepparton on the Channel 6 Football Network.
Well, it's been a great game of football here at the Deakin Reserve this afternoon, where the Victorian Country Football League have now won back-to-back titles in the Tooheys Challenge. You can see a rather happy camp down there, Shane Healy, and I think Stuart Gull would be a relieved man, because prior to the game he was as nervous as a kitten, and at about three-quarter time Victoria didn't look good things to turn around and win the game either, but at the moment they're looking a pretty happy camp.
And well, they might be. We're going to go into some highlights of their win in just a moment, and especially the second half, where the Victorians did dominate in the second half, kicking 10 goals to the WA side, only 5 or 6, and certainly I think it was about the 20-minute mark of the third quarter that Victoria began to get on top I thought Craven, Hando, Hartney, Lenigan and Dobson were some of their better players. As we have a look at some of these highlights, that was an interesting one where Hando went up and took the mark off the post, and well, it was Pater behind. He went back, he was going to have a shot for goal, was David Hando, the boy from St Arnaud, but in fact it was deemed to be a point. There he is with his hand on his hip, not very happy about the situation. But we saw some great marking and some great goals today. Some of the long kicking of the Western Australian forwards was a delight. Lee Wright did some good work, and we're going to see Victoria coming into attack on this occasion. And there was little Hando flying again, and at the back of the pack, a beautiful snap here. And that was one of the fine goals of the day. And that snap came off the boot of Kenny Murray from memory. Or was it Terry Love? It went long and rolled right through the centre. There was Lenigan kicking, and Lenigan must have had 25 kicks. Hando rose high there, but it was Big Walsh who stood his ground in front. The boy from Traralgon shouldn't be disappointed with his game today. He played a fine game, did John Walsh, kicking 2 majors. Hando, I mentioned, also kicked 2 goals, and there was another one of the fine running goals of the Vics. And later in the game, they began to get a lot of soft goals as the WA side got fairly tired. Fine mark taken in that exchange, and I think marking was the highlight here today. There were some beautiful grabs taken.
There was some good grabs, Rod. You had a look at 3 got a time and came back with a comment that you thought that the West Australian side might have run out of legs, and that's basically how it ended up.
Yes, I think it was. I think the Victorian team are probably that little bit more professional, the way that their attitude to the game when they're playing in Major League football. It's pretty good football around Victoria, and all of these players are really true, almost professional footballers, and they've turned themselves out very well, just that little bit fitter, and they lasted the game more than the Western Australian.
Well, Lenihan putting through that goal, and for mine, one of the better players for the Victorian Country Football League. The boys shortly will go through some of their better players, but Tony Beck came onto the ground and into the centre of the ground, then Stuart Gull moving down into the forward line, and all of a sudden we started to see the Victorian forward line start to open up a little bit, and I think it was the experience of Beck down there that started directing a little bit of traffic. Little fellow on your screen right now, Mick Cleary, tried hard for the West Australian side, did a lot of good work up on the forward line, perhaps spent most of his time on centre wing. There were some great battles here today, and his battle was won. Here's little Crognali, snatched 2 in the last quarter, and that was a spectacular one. He got one which was equally spectacular a little bit later on. In fact, here we see it again now, just as we talk. Crognali's 2 goals, 2 moments of glory. And talking of moments of glory, there's young Craven on your screen, but I'm going to ask you one question, Shane Healy. There's been a lot of criticism by clubs and various things as such. Been a lot of criticism of clubs of such that these sort of games shouldn't take place in Winfield. We can see a happy Mick Lenihan on your screen, and to me that tells the story. I think it's a very selfish attitude by country clubs to try and keep players away from Winfield games and Tooheys Cup challenges like we're seeing now. I think we can say there's been criticism, and you're right, there has been, but I think it's only been in the minority. I think basically most leagues are happy to support such days as this. I think most leagues are happy to support the Winfield Championships, which have been a great success over a long period now. We've got Geelong and Bendigo leagues battling it out in a few weeks in St Albans for this year's grand final. There's the coach, Stewie Gull, walking off the ground pretty relieved. This time 7 days ago, you and I walked off the Horsham City Oval with him. He had his head down. He was a disappointed man. David Butterfin, I suppose you're talking of disappointed man. Last week, he wouldn't have thought he'd be there. There's Stewie Gull giving it across to young Danny Craven, who, as we said before, had his moments of glory, played well for the VCFL. The handshakes are going out, and great reward for the Victorian Country Football League team. They had the better of West Australia last year. Now they've had the better of them again this year. We'll have a look at some better players for you very, very shortly, but we'll be back with a rundown of all the highlights, perhaps, of this game as we saw it very, very shortly. Well, welcome back to the Deakin Reserve here at Shepparton this afternoon, where we've witnessed a great game of football. The 2 country leagues of West Australia and, of course, the Victorian Country Football League doing battle, and Victorian Country Football League Suprema game. Let's have a look at the final scores. 17-27, 129 to the VCFL, to West Australia 13-10-88. Shane Healy, it's been a pleasure working with you again, and also Rod Kilgour, and downstairs to Don, but in a word, you're better players. OK, well, 2 words. I'll cheat. Craven and Hando, toss of the coin. Both little fellas, both performed marvellously.
David Hando, for me, a magnificent performance.
Well, I thought Mick Lenihan put in a tremendous performance for the Victorian Country Football League side. Congratulations to them and to Stuart Gull and to my co-commentators this afternoon. Thank you. It's been a great pleasure working with you. Wherever you may have been watching us on the Six Network, I hope that you've enjoyed our coverage. And don't forget, the live sport action still continues tonight, 11 p.m. from Wimbledon, the men's finals between Boris Becker and Stefan Edberg. Hope you can stay with us then. From us here from the Deakin Reserve, it's a very...